It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, cheese, 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 cheese.
It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos.
Lettuce, cheese.
It's raining tacos.
Hello there.
I forgot to get water. I'm gonna have to switch out. Let's hear that again.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, cheese, 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 cheese.
It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos.
Lettuce, cheese.
It's raining tacos. Tacos.
What's up, dudes? Welcome to the stream. Hashtag Free Pastor Houston. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Tell me that there's noise coming out of that. Why is there not noise? Oh, thank you for being here, Happy Thorns. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Did that work? Why? There we go. That'll probably work. Just make sure that it does. One thing. Subscriber tier 1. We got noises? I hear it, kinda. That needs to be much louder. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's the one. I've been fixing. I've been repairing things, and so this is. I just wanted it to work. Now I can hear the alerts and stuff. Okay, so welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. Today we're going to be looking at a few things, starting with. I think we're going to start with just an update on the bot situation. Maybe, especially being Taco Tuesday. What is the deal? What can we do about it? That kind of thing. We talked about it a ton yesterday. If you're curious, I turned it up a little bit. Thank you. If you're curious, we'll do a little bit of a run through. But if you want like a bit more of a breakdown, well, sort of. I was all over the place yesterday, but still, we talked about it yesterday. So let's do that. That's what we're gonna do first. Is talk about those things. There you go, far side. And there we go. Oh, so close. Almost nailed it. Sup, Supersonic? Good to see you. Hello, Jones. Hi, Samus. Hello, Nurse Nerd. Good to see you. Yes, don't forget to hit the hello there button. That's important. Been busy with life? I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Been busy. I've been doing something a little different with my busy, and that is doing things and trying to only do the one thing, and to do it in such a way that it's not terrible, you know, that it actually is a good thing. That's what I've been trying to do. Is like, for example, I got about 100 different things. Everything from I need to fix my cable management to I need to write articles to I need to edit videos to everything. And because I'm doing overlays right now, because I really need to finish some overlay stuff, I'm going to that's what I'm doing. That's the only thing I'm doing, is doing the overlays to make them look cool. And it's almost like a discipline for me. You know what I mean? It's almost like a discipline where I have to only do the one thing and try to enjoy the one thing, you know? That's what I'm doing. By the pinned message, I'm not understanding why redeem required, but I'm here last time to hear most of the Twitch bot thing. Well, I'll show you why. This is what's going on right here. I'm going to, yeah. So yesterday, probably. There's no guarantee, man. You could be very sophisticated, DJ. I don't know. Trust no one. Okay. This is the kind of, it's a good little summary. You know what I mean? Well, a good little summary. Some of it is a little fishy. Some of it seems a little, you know, like leaky, like not totally sure. But I think it's a good quick overview of what happened. Essentially, yesterday, what we found out is that Pastor Houston was banned for no good reason. Right in the middle of a Bible reading, all of a sudden, poof, he's gone. His stream is gone. His account is gone. He couldn't even log in anymore. That's how banned he got. And it was because, he said, he sent a tweet out later, and he said it was because he was view botting, which I won't get into again. It's insane. He definitely didn't. So I went and did some looking around, and I got, you know, Grok to like dig deep into whatever's going on the internet. Couldn't find much else. It's not like it's it's not widespread. Apparently, I mean, the thing with Pastor Houston he's not the only one who had it happen. Hello, Raja. But it's not like a million people are getting banned all the time. He got caught. And because we care about him and because we know about him, we are affected by it, and so we're all, you know, stirred up. I was just talking to, if you go to my X, I was talking a little bit to Dylan, who about like something we could do. right? Just kind of, he's like, well, I wonder what we can do. I'm like, yeah, we could leave Twitch. We could, we could like boycott or whatever. But what if we start with just a campaign? And so I created an image. It is AI. I already flagged that as I know that I'm not, that's not what we're going to use. But if we can get an artist to draw something and then we can share it around, that way it can be, false positive. There you go. Yeah. We could share that around. Maybe we get a little bit eyeballs on it. A lot of people are sharing. Hopefully Clancy and the team will take a look at it. But the key points are of what happened for if you're a content creator. This is what matters. Lurkers are being flagged as bots. And that's why that's why I'm asking you, if you are lurking, do a thing, anything, put anything, say hi. And then I made a channel reward that basically just does this.
Hello there.
And then that way you've engaged, right? Because a bot could say hello. A bot probably can't. I don't know if it can or not, but a bot probably can't do a channel reward. So if you want to be flagged as not a bot, and if they're going to be making boo-boos, and I know this actually goes against Twitch culture, because one of the things about Twitch culture is that you don't call out the lurkers. You don't say, hey, lurkers, do things. How dare you, But in this case, just kind of asking folks to stick a thing in the thing. If you're going to be a chatter, like if you're going to continue, chat along, then yeah, it's fine. You'll be fine, because obviously conversation and whatnot is going to get you not seen as a bot. But if you're going to lurk, maybe hit a thing. Okay, so that's one. Legitimate lurkers were getting in trouble. Gift sub system. This is an interesting one, in that the current Twitch sub distribution code designed to prioritize gifting to bots and non-community viewers, which I don't understand. That sounds very, very random. Why it would ever do that? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't take the credence on that one, because usually in my experience, what it does, it just goes down the list of who watches the most or who's on the most. And then it's like, who of the watch people is already a sub, so it would get rid of those. Who is, and then it goes and it grabs some folks, and then like in the bottom, I don't know, 1,000 or whatever, it kind of grabs folks at random. It doesn't seem to have rhyme or reason for who it actually grabs, but it does. I don't think I've never seen it do a bot ever. So that being said, I'm very, very blessed to not have to deal with a lot of bot stuff. Well, it prioritizes people who are following and people who have been in chat. That's my guess. I don't know if that's true, but based on the people that I've seen get the gifts, it's usually people I recognize the name of, or at least like distantly. Like if I do a subathon or whatever, and all of a sudden we're kind of deep in the list, people that I kind of think I remember hearing about, but don't show up to stream. But it is people who are on the, or at least in the follower list, not necessarily bots. I don't know, doesn't make any sense for why they would prioritize bots. 0 cents, actually. AI misclassification. Twitch AI now assumes viewers with no input. Chat clicks redemptions are bots. Bots are faking interaction. Heat maps clicks on stream elements. So that's interesting. I was just on Etsy yesterday. Just yesterday. I'll show you something. I'm shopping for cool stuff for the new overlays. I'm really excited, you guys. I've done so much work on this new overlay setup. It's like when I finally load up these overlays that I'm actually using, I kind of hate them. I'm like, ew, why these are so gross. What kind of idiot moron dum-dum actually made these? That's ew. And then, because that's how it rolls, I'm gonna just dim myself just a smidgen. There we go. I still gotta fix that because it's a problem. Yeah, so check this out. Buy 1K viewers Twitch. There's still, I found this yet. Yeah, this is exactly what I found. Buy 1,000 viewers on Twitch. Look, see, I'm gonna get that. That looks so cool.
Hello there.
Anyway, that's for another day. Hi there. But yeah, you can still go to apparently go to Etsy. This, I think is gonna we should report this. We're gonna report it right now. Problem with my order, use it intellectual properly. I don't think it meets Etsy's policies. It's pornographic. No, hate, threat, promotes violence, dangerous, hazardous, violating specific law or regulation. That one. Selling, buying followers is against Twitch's US. But so this is bad, but you can still do it. Apparently there's still, I don't know, his phone number's on here. This is definitely a scam. Why would you? I've never seen a phone number put on the front of an Etsy thing. Crazy, man. Anyway, so that's bad. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. I really like that. I got a few things I'm getting, man. I'm really excited. I was hearting things. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning hearting things on Etsy. You want to see the stuff I hearted? I think it's gonna be cool. A burner number? Yeah, it could be. So what did I heart? This raid thing. This is a claw plushie basket. So when you guys do exclamation point whatever, you do a channel reward, it'll give you one of 50 like plushies from a claw machine. This is the same thing. I haven't decided if it's gonna be plushies or kawaii food, but that sounds absolutely adorable. I'm looking forward to it. Couldn't the bot problem be solved with CAPTCHA or something on the viewer's end? Well, once you're a follower, they're not gonna make you, like, if you had to CAPTCHA every single time you logged in, that would severely impact people doing that. Plus, you know, there are a lot of folks who just kind of show up, and it would really Twitch is built on the back of lurkers. That's just the way it is. It's not the chatters are great, but there are way more lurkers than chatters. Finish my cosplay for Reach? Yeah, heck yeah. What are you gonna be doing? Duster jacket? Oh, sick, man. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so and then hype train stuff, and then I got a taco command, and then I'm getting I've got stuff going on, man. I'm excited. But anyway, that's for another day. Probably not till September. Maybe even later. Because it's taking a really long time. Yeah, so I don't think they're incentivizing. That sounds wrong to me, but what do I know? Just they want you to make sure that you click on do something in chat. That's all. If you want to help your streamer, do something in chat. Hello anything, there. Right? Anything. It doesn't really matter. Just say a thing, you know. It's I don't know why it says many streamers are already seeing a 50 to 60% drop off in view counts, because that would assume that 50% of the people are bots, which or something. That one doesn't make sense to me either. So I regardless to said, there's an issue. The AI is not doing a great job, and it definitely false positive deuced in. And so because if we don't want to do that, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to anybody. So I'm passing along to the peoples. If you're a creator or if you're a viewer, just do something. Say hello, and then that's it. That's all you need to do. Aragorn. Nice. Placing the costume piece. Oh, that's sick, man. I'm looking forward to that. You guys are gonna be awesome. I don't cosplay because I don't look like anybody. Yeah, dead internet theory's alive and well. True enough. Yeah, bots talking about, especially if they're botting like what's her name? The AI Twitch streamer, you know? Chain Weapon. Deuce got banned for view botting, which he definitely didn't do. And it was so banned they deleted his account and he can't even appeal using his account. So we're trying to get onto X and, you know, ring some bells to get him reinstated. And I'm just bringing up a reminder to people who are viewers or who are our chatters, you know, do this. It was really easy to set up my little thing that just is, you know, it just does this. It's 1 bit. Everybody who comes in gets 200 bits, regardless of who you are. So you can do something. I don't know. It's just a thunk. I saw it here. I think it's kind of cool. And even if it's nothing, if once this blows over, we can turn it off. But regardless, it's going to be something that might live for a couple weeks, depending on how they do this. Takes a little while, I would imagine. All right, so let's spread this out so I can get this all put together. Any questions about that before I jump into anything else? Single line ribbon. No, okay. I don't want that on there. Can an account be reinstated, or does he have to start over? Well, it's not deleted. It can be probably. It can be replaced. It can be reviewed, as in like someone can go in there and see if it's okay to let him back on. And I've seen other people have that happen to them. and they end up with all their stuff back. So it's not like it's the end of the world if they find him, if they listen, if you know, it might be a bot, but he's not saying. Yeah, see, dangerous, man. Dangerous. Who knows? So we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Again, if you aren't counted as a viewer, if you lurk, but you should be, in my opinion. You are counted as a viewer. You are counted as a viewer. But that's the problem. They're view botters. Who create views. So you are counted as a viewer, but are you a real viewer? That's the question. If they're cracking down on view bots, how do you draw the line carefully and properly? One would assume through the history, you know, who they are, what they do, you know, who the things like that. Who they watch. But then, you know, I don't know. That's the hard part. And even drawing the line, how do you ensure people don't just ride the edge of the line close as they can? We don't care about people. People who are riding the edge of the line and only ever lurk, we don't care about them. What we care about is fake views, and that affects everybody. And it affects everybody because Twitch is trying to get more ad revenue. Twitch is trying to make money. Twitch can't make money if the advertisers find out that half the people on Twitch aren't real people. Right? If they're like, well, we're not paying to advertise to anybody. We're paying to advertise to bots, which is the same thing that if you have these inflated numbers on whatever website or whatever, you know, YouTube thing, it doesn't help. And once the advertisers find out, they pull out because they, you know, even today, Twitch and YouTube are still not, you know, it's like there are a lot of companies who don't think that they're legitimate and they still want TV and radio. And so if you're trying to sell this as, you know, you should definitely come here and give us your money, it's harder to do if you get caught where all your viewers are pretend, because that makes Twitch look like they're fraudulent. And so it affects us because if Twitch gets in trouble and Twitch can't get advertisers, then they have less incentive to keep us around. Less incentive to like Amazon has less incentive to keep Twitch around. Because now it's a liability. Now it's an issue. Now they're getting in trouble. And so, you know what? At what point is it not worth it for them to keep us around? And then they kind of go, forget this noise. And then they just get rid of it. And I wouldn't blame them. If I found out that, like, say you were running a Minecraft server, right? And you got it to up to 1,000 people. And you're like, okay, I got 1,000 people on my Minecraft server. That's pretty cool. I'm going to start selling like I don't know, loot boxes, or I'm gonna, you know, sell a pass to the special VIP or some jazz, right? You're like, I have enough now, I can start making some money off of this thing. And so you start figuring out how to monetize your Minecraft thing, and you're like, okay, and then you put it out there, and you're like 1% conversion, and you're like, what happened there? Like, what, I got 10 people or whatever, like what happened? And you find out that 600 or 500 of the Minecraft players are not real Minecraft players. They're just standing there, right? And then they move forward, but they're not actually Minecrafting. And when you go look into your actual server and you see just like a sea of Minecraft guys just standing there and just taking one step forward every, you know, like just to keep themselves from going AFK, you'd be like, this is stupid. Why am I spending the money on this? Why am I putting this out there? What is the point of this thing? Is it even worth it? How do I get rid of these guys? And then if you ask somebody who's an advertiser, like say to come in and to pay for this thing, or you get a benefactor, or you get donors and they come in and they're like, wow, 1,000 people, that's pretty rad. Let's take a look. And then they're like, oh, and they come into the Minecraft and just see a sea of bots standing there. They're going to be like, you're scamming us. We are not giving you money. We're not giving you donations. We're going to blacklist you because you're a scammer and you didn't know it was happening and you didn't control it. That's the danger. That's the danger. Yes, an army of creepy Minecraft people. How much of the Minecraft viewership is inflated? 10%, 70%? That's the hard part. They're trying to figure it out, but apparently the number's not small. Risk or Twitch at the same time, but better. Well, they can't ignore the issue because they are trying to make money off of it. And like I said, if they get caught, they're going to be in even more trouble. What if real viewers are the friends we meet along the way. They are. That's what they are. Yes, that is the real viewers. But the plan today, we're going to talk about. We're gonna kind of do a quick review of the previous. Well, let's get that over there. Yesterday's little talk we did about. I don't know. You guys know what neats are? If you watch Isekai, you know what a need is. My main question: viewers are at risk of being deleted if they are lurking in AFK for hours. Yeah. Yes, they are. I would say the answer is yes. If you set up a lurk, say, because you can do this. There are like things in Chrome, and there are, you can get stuff for like Raspberry Pi or whatever. It just automatically lurks on people's streams. Like it'll lurk and then it'll go to another stream, and you basically just get passed around the raid train, or you can schedule it and it'll show up on this stream and look for it, show up on this stream and look for it. There are things you can do like that, and in your mind, you're helping your streamer, right? You want to help them. You want to give them a view. You're a real person. Maybe you're not watching, but you want to help. That is, you're technically a one-person bot, right? And a one-person bot, according to the advertisers, is a liability. That is a problem, because that one-person bot isn't watching the ads, isn't seeing anything that those guys are paying for. Even if I do like a live, hey, look at, I just got myself some Rogue, you guys should totally drink it. They're not seeing any of that because they're not even there. It's just you're a one-person bot. So yeah, I would say that they're going to, and they need to crack down on fake follows, fake views, right? And I would say that the people who are lurking using their one-person bot system should probably get their wrist slapped too, because they, as much as they're trying to do it to be nice, they're technically, I would say they're technically breaking TOS. And because you're supposed to be logging in and lurking, as in watching, listening, like a radio program. Like a TV show that's on the wall, like something. And yeah, there is, the whole, they will let you put it on and then mute or whatever. Like, yeah, so that's a part of it. It's kind of part of the culture. But at the same time, if you never watch the person, if you're never there and you never listen, you never watch an ad, you never pay attention, you never contribute to chat, and they're always on mute, are you a viewer? Should you be counted? Well, the way that I'm doing it, when it comes to safe, is that when you show up, you say something in chat, and then you use the little command, and then that way, when it goes through the list of people who said stuff, you're in it, right? After X hours, I'm not counted as a viewer unless I'm active in chat. I don't know. That's beyond my understanding. I really don't know. I do know that once you raid to another person, like if it says, equals raid, then you're not considered a viewer. Tell me if I'm wrong. But this is my understanding. And that is that if you go to a raid and you are raided out, that doesn't count towards the streamer's actual views. Like if 1,000 people raid into a view of 25 people, it doesn't actually raise their average, right? I don't know. I don't remember. If they changed that, then I'm wrong. But if they did change it, did they change it? Okay, because where that was going was they could track that then. If they can track who raided over, and they know who came in, and they could say that wasn't a real viewer, then obviously they know a lot more about what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to your activity and what you're doing than you think they do, right? And so they have some kind of qualifier for what makes a real viewer. And I would imagine that would be, it would be, the web page would be open, the volume would be on, that's why you can mute the tab, because if the volume is on, they can't tell because the tab is muted within Chrome. And if that's the case, and maybe they say something in chat or their IP is live or something, they would be able to figure that out. My average usually drops when I'm rated. Does it? Okay. All right. Interesting. Used to be that you had to refresh your browser. Yeah, it changes the URL. Exactly. Crispy says, ad revenue is the original sin of the internet, is the thought I've heard. Pollutes all content with unreadable junk. Encourages bots. If you could convince the public to pay 1 cent per page or stream view or scroll down, be much better internet. I agree with that. Anything these days anyway, you can mimic anything with a bot, especially if you have even a cheap AI. It can get around that stuff. I'm thinking the biggest dilemma for introverts with new policy. Everyone in Twitch should have a redeem. Like, if you're an introvert, click here, and I won't interact. Yeah. You know what? That's a really good point. And the hello there. I don't know. Yes, I kind of agree that there's introverts, and then there's absolute paranoid avoiders. Like if you say hello, if you use my hello there, and I'm like hi, and if you're like, oh, that's too much, then maybe you should probably get some pretty serious counseling. Because that's pretty, what I mean? It's I get it that you don't call out the lurkers, but at the same time, I'm not. I agree that you shouldn't be trying to drag them into a conversation that they don't want to be in, but you should be allowed to say hello. I usually just leave Twitch on overnight or while at work if I can. Like Thursdays, I work before the raids, so 5 hours later, I'm totally, a totally different stream. Yep. But I've been lurking AFK during the time. So I get distracted, go to bed. That's maybe 16 hours. I would wonder if you'd get flagged. 16 hours of not doing anything. I wouldn't be surprised if you get booted. Actually, you know what? One of the ways they could fix this is to have the Are You Watching countdown on Netflix, right? If they did say after 4 hours or 6 hours, they did a Netflix Are You Still Watching? It kind of came up. And it went beep, 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 beep. And it was what is over top. And if you didn't click it, it would log you out, right? Or it would shut it down or raid you to the off page or something. At least that way that person would be forced to at least say hello every 6 hours. But I don't know. Punishing lurkers, maybe that kind of goes against Twitch culture. It seems like what lurk commands and emotes should be, but I can't tell you how often I've used those. And then people chatted to me, so I was stuck chatting in the stream when I should be working. Yes, well, that's it. You raid in. I mean, you raid in somewhere, then all of a sudden the conversation is had. But I agree that there should be something to be said about, you shouldn't have to say hello. It should. I agree. But then at the same time, if you, from Twitch's perspective, you are not valuable except as a number to say 1 million people a day watch Twitch, and if you ask the question how many people engage in that and they're like 400, right, then all of a sudden that million doesn't look so good. So I don't know I don't know what to do. I really don't. But my thing is just click the button and hope for the best. I'm sure they'll get it ironed out. I have great faith that, but what about the economy? Yeah, exactly. Kinda, yeah. But at the same time, they're a business. Anybody who thinks they're not a business is fooling themselves. They are primarily, first and foremost, a money-making entity. They are not a mission. They are not a non-profit. They are not here to bless the world with wonderful things. They're not even here to support creators. They're here to make money. That is it. And when they stop making money, or it starts costing money, more than it's already costing, I guess, and they don't see any future where it would make money, they're going to stop because it doesn't make sense. They're not here to make us all feel good. They're here to get some money. Right. A Twitch that's a nonprofit. So it's funny because there's a site called Odyssey. Have you ever seen Odyssey? It's like kind of like conservative underground YouTube. And they're supposed to be that, right? They don't have an advertising platform. I think they use like crypto or something for their income. It's whatever. It's a totally different weird thing. Hello, Wolf. And in that weird thing, they're trying to become YouTube. I remember I contacted them. I'm like, hey, if I wanted to stream on your platform, because maybe support some off to the side thing, what could I do? And they said, you can't. Too bad. I'm like, all right, well, good luck. You know. Hello, Ferric. As long as the solution to real viewers' problems never is allow access to your PC camera for verification. Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. Allow your Alexa to say hello, and it listens to see if you're in the room. Yeah, same IP. That would actually kind of work in an evil way. I agree that the worst part of Twitch's ad platform is most of the ads. You have no control over what it shows, and it may go against your values and brand. Oh yeah, for sure. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a Christian stream and saw a video for booze, gambling, and a horror movie. Right? Like, just straight up. I think the best thing they have is the ads that show up in the upper right hand above. Still shows the ad, but now you don't miss what the streamer's doing. Then again, ad doesn't get the sub money. Well, they get half of it. They get half the sub money. When it slides over, like anybody who's watching on browser right now, every now and again, the whole screen shifts and then like an ad shows up, or the whole screen shifts up and then an ad shows up. That's really good because it's not invasive, and they were experimenting with that. Can they show an ad but not interrupt the stream? Because as soon as you interrupt the stream, it's kind of like it breaks the spell. I don't know if you've ever seen what they try to do through TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram or whatever. They've worked on finding an algorithm that uses sort of Pavlovian logic to be able to affirm you at random so that you get a little hit of dopamine and you keep scrolling, and there's always something a little bit more interesting a few scrolls away, and you're like, oh, that was interesting enough. I will do 10 more scrolls. Okay, at 9, it's pretty good. I'll do 10 more scrolls. And so therefore it's designed to keep you on there. But as soon as an ad pops on there, as soon as something like invasive happens, you get a phone call or whatever, the spell is broken. Right, and all of a sudden you're like, oh well, what time is it? What should I go to bed now? What am I doing? I thought I was just going to do that for half an hour. Spell's broken, and all of a sudden you put down the thing. In the same way, if you're engaged in chat and you're listening to me, or you listen to your favorite streamer or whatever, and all of a sudden, 15 seconds of totally not whatever it is, or at the very beginning you log in. The spell is broken, and you're like, well, okay, well, I wonder, was that interesting? Was I even paying attention? I don't know. Let me go try something else. And maybe you leave and go to YouTube. Maybe you pick up your phone. Maybe you get back to work. Maybe you do something else. And so it works against Twitch if they interrupt that. If they interrupt the flow. If we even have a flow. Do we have a flow? I try to have a flow. But I was playing Spotify playlist at a Christian youth center, and a condom ad played. Bummer. Yeah, if you're gonna play public stuff, pay for the not ad free. Jones is right. It's worth it. Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. Fix the Heisenberg compensators before something bad happens. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to give you guys the last chance to say a thing, and then we're going to jump into the promise talk today, which is a talk on how Christian content creators can help folks who are struggling with what's called avoidant personality disorder. We talked a lot about it yesterday, sort of from a personal perspective, people who struggle with this, and then people who we're going to talk about it from we as content creators. How can we help them? But before we do that, AMA, does anybody have anything they want to say or ask or talk about? Otherwise, I'll jump into it. I hear more condom ads from Spotify. Yeah, it makes you wonder. Although some of those places, like YouTube, Spotify, and etc., they have advertisements that are nowhere else. Like, you ever wonder why you never see an ad for the thing that's on YouTube, like being like promoted anywhere else? It's because there's a certain, there's just a certain thing about that brand that appeals to those kind of folks, that kind of, it's not going to go on TV. It's not going on the radio. It's HIMS. What's that? Hey, Bluebell. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. What's HIMS? Anyway, did I have a good morning? I kind of did. I woke up a little later, so that felt pretty good. And then I got up and I had a plan, which is good because I didn't. Sometimes I don't have a plan. I got my new Rogue in the mail, so that was good. And yeah. Oh, and I got this. We're doing this on Thursday. I'm super excited. It's the next phase of development in our Japanese street Lego. It's very adorable. It's very adorable. And I'm looking forward to building it. Yeah, we're gonna do that on Thursday, Lord willing. There's something, okay. There's something I'd like to get off my chest, but it's more on the complaining side. Oh, by all means. No, do it before if you got it on your chest and it would help your life to get it off, by all means, do it. How many times do you see a Chinese food ad? I don't. Honestly, I don't see Chinese food. Yeah. Yeah. There's certain companies that don't even advertise anymore. Like Coke still advertises. I don't know why, but they do. Right? We all know Coke exists. When was the last time you saw an ad for chocolate milk? Star Blue says, AMA, I lost someone in my life several years ago. Okay, we're going to go to just chatting since this sounds like it could be a bit of a combo. I lost someone in my life several years ago. They weren't Christian. I find it difficult to think of them in hell for all eternity. Not at all that I find hell unbelievable, but that I'd be in heaven with Jesus, while my friend would be suffering for eternity. It's hard for me to think I'll enjoy heaven knowing that. Maybe I don't understand it great. I'm an amateur in the faith, but knowing how that person lived and passed, who they were as a person, it's difficult to enjoy. It's difficult to think I'd enjoy heaven. Yeah, that's understandable. Chocolate milk is doing fine. Yeah, I can't remember what comedian said that, but yeah, I think yeah, Nick something. So the answer, yeah. So to the question I have, or the answer that I would have, is here's a few ways to kind of look at this. Number one is you don't know the end of that person's life. You know what happened. You don't know where they are. That's one thing. Number two, if you believe that God is just, right? We believe as Christians God is just. God doesn't make mistakes. God doesn't make oopsie doopsies. God doesn't have people that are in heaven that are not supposed to be, or people in hell that are not supposed to be. God knows every single thing, and he's the perfect judge. So if we believe that about his character and about who he is, then his decisions we will agree with, right? It's kind of like if you look at a situation from the outside and you're like, wow, that's super unfair. I can't believe they'd say that. I can't believe they'd do that. That's insane. And then you learn more about the situation, like the news kind of updates, or you hear from the other side of the story or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Then I understand why that reaction, or why that person got in trouble, or why whatever happened. And because of that new information that you've been given, you're suddenly like, okay, that makes sense why that happened. I thought this, and I saw this situation, and I thought that about this person. It made no sense to me, but now knowing all the information, now it makes more sense. So I think that would be part of it too, right? So we trust God. We know what's going on. We don't know where he's at. And if and when we knew this situation and we knew the information from God at the end, we would kind of go, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I agree with you as well. Third thing is we believe in perfect justice, right? So when we get to heaven and when everybody stands before the judgment seat of Christ, there'll be no one who has a surprise, and nobody who is treated in such a way that they won't feel like they deserved it. The sinners themselves will self-condemn. They will stand before the judge, who is God, or Judge Jesus, or and Jesus is the advocate. It's a whole Trinity thing. Give me a break, and you will, and as they are shown their life, or shown their what's going on, at the end of it, when they're like, okay, so why, I'm not saying this is scriptural, but like, why should I let you into heaven? Why should you be with me in eternity? Why should you be on the new heavens and the new earth? If your answer isn't because Jesus died on the cross for my sins, rose again, conquered death, and has invited me to let that be the propitiation for my sins, so that we can have redemption in his name, so that he took the punishment for me. That's the only reason why I do not deserve this, but Jesus said it was okay. And then the judge goes, okay, Jesus, thumbs up, and then Jesus goes, thumbs up, and then off you go. But the ones who don't have that, who don't say that, who never at any point, right, said, Jesus, I'd like to be saved, I admit my sin and I need you in my life, we'll look at the judge And the judge will go, why should I let you into heaven? Why should you be with me for eternity? Why should I allow you go, to go in? They will say, I shouldn't, right? I have no reason, because they've just seen a deluge of all the sins that they've done, all the effects that it's had on other people compared to a perfect holy God, right? It's almost like you took a white sheet of paper, perfectly white, and then you looked at the sheet of paper and you're like, that's pretty white. I'm pretty good. I'm good. And then you're like, when I go to heaven, it'll be fine. I'm pretty good. And you look at, and you kind of compare your little white sheet of paper to like Hitler, and you compare it to like evil people and Vladimir Putin and the murderer down the road and people who steal from, babies. And you're like, all right, you know what? I'm actually a really white sheet of paper compared to those guys. So I'll be fine. Then you get to heaven, and God shows you an actual white sheet of paper, the one that is as white as Jesus, and you put yours next to it, and suddenly you look gross. You look really dark. There's something wrong there, and you realize immediately that you don't measure up, right? You don't measure up. So you in heaven, when you get there, you will agree with all of that. You will be able to see that. Plus, you trust that God's judgment is good and that He is perfectly loving, that He is perfectly gracious. He gives all opportunity for people to be saved. He wants people to be saved. And there are folks who will not let that happen. And so when you get there, you're not going to be like, oh, I can't enjoy this place, because you will be with the one you love the most. You will be with Jesus. You will be able to be in His presence. You'll be surrounded by brothers and sisters in Christ who love you and who have been walking with Him for a long time, and who you've been able to, and you'll be in an environment that is free from sin, free from temptation, free from all sadness, free from tears, free from everything bad, right? And so therefore it isn't a time, to use an illustration, right? Say someone who died in your life and you feel really, really sad. After a week, you still feel pretty bad. After a year, you don't feel as bad. After 10 years, you still have a sort of I miss them or whatever. But you're not as crippled as you were the next day after they died or whatever. Why? Because you have learned to cope, because you've been loved, because you've gone through a grieving process, because people have been next to you, because you found different ways to find joy, because you processed it, right? And so in a much more gigantic way, when you get to heaven, you will have perfectly processed that feeling you have now, right? And so therefore you won't have a bunch of baggage. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Jones, I saw what you said. Give me a second. Jones says, I woke up pretty irritated. One of my good friends kind of just dismissed a statement I made. Someone posted a video about an interview where this guy believes in transhumanism, and trans people are the kickstart of going that way. Okay. The video is making fun of the interview. I comment, do we need to bring C.S. Lewis in here? And my very Catholic friend dismissed the comment saying, C.S. Lewis is a perverter of Christianity. So I'm disappointed and pretty upset by it. I haven't responded. Yeah. I mean, what's the subject? We're salvation and poopy online people. We're all over the place, Jake. You're trying to catch a surfboard that's mid-surf. So I apologize. Yeah, so Jones, the way that I always process that stuff is to think, what kind of day is that person having? Why would they post that? Were they trying to be funny? Right? Maybe they were trying to be funny. Maybe they were trying to be ironic. Maybe they were just kind of joshing with me because, we're friends. Or maybe they're an absolute brick wall of stupidity that cannot listen to reason. Maybe they are so steeped and enamored by lies and themselves and their own intelligence and their own wisdom and whatever, that they actually can't see past the end of their nose. And therefore, anybody who tries to interject anything, the only defense can be that they must be stupid, they must be horrible, and therefore we can't have a conversation. For some people who don't have a lot of brains, or people who don't have a lot of humility, the only solution they have sometimes is to say, everybody else is stupid except me. And everybody I agree with is smart, and everybody I don't agree with is stupid, so I don't need to listen to them because they're obviously stupid. And so that way you don't have to even listen to their argument. So if that person is one of those people, either they're trying to, kind of josh with you, which you said you're not, or they're the kind of person who is just an unchangeable bigot, then you're hitting a wall anyway. There's no point in making a comment. And third, if it is someone who is so hardcore on the fact that like if they're like C.S. Lewis, 0%, nothing valuable, how dare you kind of thing, is you're not gonna be able to have a conversation with that person. There's no point. I decided a long time ago I am not having internet arguments anymore, because there's no point. They're not listening. They only want to talk. They only want to be seen. They only want to win. They don't want to learn. They don't want to discuss. They don't want to find a mutual kind of common ground. They just want to win, and they're using you for entertainment so they can feel smarter, better, or whatever because of their pitiful little life as they sit at home. Don't engage. You don't need to engage. And it sounds like from that person, if that's what they're going to come up with, they're not willing to listen to anything, right? They're not going to listen to anything. So there's nothing you can say. Just let it go. I'm a little behind in chat. Give me a second to catch up. I've learned that God will protect us from pain, fear, crying, death, etc. In heaven, we will not remember people who were not saved. I don't know about that. It sounds bitter, hard to understand, but God will keep our minds, I don't know the word, on him instead of worry and sadness. Well, we won't have the sin, sarx, the flesh to pull us away, right? The things that cause us the most problems are desires that are out of control. And one of those desires that's out of control is that you want comfort from things that are either impossible or bad for you. And so therefore you hurt yourself, you hurt others, you deny God, you push away, because this fleshly argument inside of you is like, if I just had that person, if I just had that substance, if I just had that environment, if I just had that money, or if I just had something, I would be better, right? In heaven, you're not going to have that argument. You're not going to have that argument, right? Because your being, your desires are going to be attuned to perfection. And so you're not going to be seeking, the only way I can be happy is if that person is there. You're going to be saying, I can be happy because the most important being in the universe is there and loves me, and I'm here, right? I don't have a pull away from Jesus anymore. There's nothing that pulls me away from Jesus to make me think that person is going to be able to comfort me better than Jesus. That person's going to be able to love me better than Jesus. That person's going to be able to make me feel better than Jesus. You know what I mean? That's not going to be happening in heaven. Hey, Ostro. I am currently the Christian Missionary Alliance. Hey, Jamie. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully that made sense, Supersonic. For the contest, this is a server with mixed beliefs, mostly atheists. And that's fine, because if people are on there and they're arguing, then you know what? I wouldn't be on one of those. In fact, I don't go into the controversial section on the Taco Discord. I don't even go in there. Why? Because I don't want to do that on the internet. There are some people who they have to. You want to go and have your little, peeing contest about who's the smartest person and who can quote the most Sistine Father, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to be part of that, but you guys go have fun. Be nice to each other. Don't be a jerk. And you can fight in that little arena. There's your little arena to fight in. You bring it out in the rest of the Discord. I'm going to smack your wrist, but go ahead, because some people, that's how they engage in the internet. They can't help it. Even Christians. Star Blue says, I understand what you mean. Thank you for replying. I still think I'd be depressed thinking about the individual, even if they committed lots of sins. They did commit lots of sins, and so have you. Thought of them suffering for eternity is tough to contemplate. It's tough to contemplate if it's not fair. If it's unfair and they didn't deserve it, then it makes no sense. Then it hurts your being. And it hurts your understanding. And it should hurt you in this world, right? So you should grieve in this world that you have somebody that you love that potentially is in hell. It should bother you. It should motivate you to share the gospel with more people, to be more, more salt and light in the world, so less people do that. So it should motivate you to make sure that the people that you do love and that you want to talk to and you do want to see in heaven, that you would have those conversations. Those things should happen, right? That should happen in your life, and it should motivate you. But yeah, you should feel sad. Jesus did. Like when Jesus wept, at, Lazarus's tomb, it wasn't, he wept for lots of reasons. Like he was sad his friend died, but he was also sad about the situation, sad about the sinners in front of him and the misunderstandings that they had, and that he was pulling this person from eternity into back into this yucky world. Like there's lots of reasons he was sad about the situation, even though he knew the end result and he knew the perfection of it, and he ultimately knew was the difference between life and death. He still grieved, and that was something that we can do too. It shouldn't paralyze us, but it should motivate us. Supersonic says, should Twitch look over people who have paid for things on their platform? I mean, I bought subs and have turbo, so I wouldn't have to prove enough that I'm a real person. I know all I can, but that's at least one filter. Yeah, if you bought something, yeah, chances are you're fine, because the bots are trying to steal money, not give money. Yeah, almost certainly. Jones says he recently started taking Catholicism seriously again. This was his first. Glad for him, but I think he's turning into a Catholic bully. Yeah, cage stage. It happens to all of us. But and that, I think that there is a healthy point to that where you're so hardcore in learning about the faith that you get really excited, and you want to do it right and you want to get it right. Your motives can be off, because some people are like, I want to be Jesus for people. I want to beat them up with my theology. I want to show off to them. I want them to, I need to prove to God that I really am a Christian, or that I really believe this stuff. And the way I do that is by being offensive to people and making fun of them. There's lots of, people can get wackadoo, but there is, I think a lot of people go through that once you start getting a dip into theology and you start seeing how whacked out people are. It part of it. Hopefully you learn how to temper it, and hopefully he comes around to find Jesus in a better way. Jake fake cake snake cake. Jake fake snake cake. I did it. What's interesting, I found that some people who are very arrogant are subconsciously knee-jerk reacting against overbearing attitudes or genuine persecution. I don't know if this has anything to do with that, though. Occasionally, I just think to myself, maybe someone is having a bad time. That's exactly the right start for someone who is mature. The start of your feeling should be, maybe that person's having a bad day. Maybe they're not doing that great. Maybe there's a way that we can help this person. Maybe we can, just cut them some slack. Maybe they didn't have their coffee today. Maybe their dog died. Maybe someone stepped on their foot right before they posted this thing. I don't know. We're gonna give them grace. Also, maybe if they are in, sort of cage stage, they are, just kind of recognize that this person is wrestling right now, and there's a lot of energy there, and I got caught up in the energy, so I'm going to have some grace, or, and so therefore let it go. If you want to still be that person's friend, drop it, let it go, start a conversation another time in another way. It doesn't have to be the last conversation ever, but you can just not engage at that time, right? In the same way that if someone, we've all had family members that are having a grumpy day. They're like, bah, bah, bah. I'm mean, and they say something stupid. You have a choice. Step into that, yell at them, be, engage in the same level, or go, they're having a bad day. You all right? You all right there? And if you can respond with grace and sensitivity and openness and not engage with the grumpy, you're serving that person. You'll show them love. That's what you do. And in that way, things are okay. And that's another good way to respond. It looked bad in front of the atheists. That's funny, Jones. The cage stage, it refers to back during the Young, Restless, and Reformed movement, when Driscoll was kind of popular, and it was in the early 2000s. There was a phrase that came around with cage stage Calvinism, which was anybody who was kind of getting back into the Reformed thinking, back into sort of Calvinism. There was a phase that they would go through where they would believe that they are the most intelligent, most godly, most biblical person on planet Earth, and everyone else needs to, submit to their thinking, and there's no other opinion other than theirs, because they finally figured out exactly the right answers because they read that book. And that's cage stage, where you literally, you're snarling at a cage, and just don't approach that cage. Just stay far back. Let that person work that out until they've rediscovered grace. It's a phase, kind of the way that grieving is a phase. At some point you're negotiating. At some point you're weeping. At some point you're angry. It's a phase. You get through it. I had to obtain a small, expensive box. Oh, good for you. I hope there's something in the box. Okay, I'm continuing down the chat. I apologize for being so far behind. Had to get a tablet for work. Sick! That's cool. Tablets are fun. Don't download any games yet. Just keep that for work for a bit, okay? So you built the discipline to use it for work. If you download a game first, you're gonna change your opinion of that device. Definitely a topic that's good to address because you and I aren't the only ones. Yeah, it's true. It's worth it. Lucky says, hey, do you have a bot that will put up scripture when it gets referenced in chat, or is that a person? Also good to see you. Yeah, we have what's called streamer bot. So no, it's not called that. It is called chapter verse. I am signed up for that. If you put a verse in, it will pop up with the verse. Like you put an address in, it'll pop up with the verse. If you put the address in and then the version that you want, ESV, NIV, KJV, it'll do that version. I recommend you do that in whatever your favorite version is, because it chooses the LSNM or something that I don't. It sounds weird to me. So I'm an ESV, NIV guy. So it just sounds weird. So whatever your favorite one is, put that in at the end, and then it'll switch it to that. Or am I a bot? Or I don't know. Are you? You tell me. Peeing contest. I intend to pee comfortably, unseen alone. Said the girl. Said the girl. I remember when I was in Edmonton and I was doing a small group. We all went out for sushi one night. I was the leader, and I had such a mouthful of spit. I have some pretty substantial salivatory glands, okay? Like they are next level. That is my superpower. I can generate spit like nobody's business. And it was just, I don't know, because of the sushi or something. And I had it, and they were walking through a parking lot. And you know how the yellow lines or whatever for the parking lot. I just unconsciously just put my toes behind the line. He went like that, and it just sailed. I mean, like a perfect teardrop spin, into just a psh, onto the ground. And the whole group was like, that was impressive. And suddenly, without any prompting, all the guys are standing on the yellow line, just trying to let her rip. Because guys, okay? The ladies, I think one of them might have participated. I don't remember. But yeah, it's a thing. Apparently people, it's a thing. Do not be excessively righteous. Do not be overly wise. Why should you make yourself desolate? Yeah, don't be a jerk. Yep. Sam said, I heard a guy bring up the non-Christian and said that Catholics look the same as Protestants to him, so he's not interested. An excuse, of course, but what do you think about demons fighting? Wow. Oh, I'm like, what? About what? A demon, they can fight. Let them fight. You mean denominations. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how far, I'm pretty far back in chat. I apologize. So what do I think of denominations fighting? One side, they need to. Okay. You need to have denominations in this world because they are, it's human necessary for people. The Bible, Paul says at some point, there must be divisions among you. That way you'll know who's right and who's wrong. It's just going to happen. And that's okay. The Christians will divide. But the question is, when you divide, how do you do it? Is there grace there? Can you see each other as brothers and sisters? Can you still work together? Just the way it is, right? Even Paul and Barnabas had a split at one point. They were still missionaries. They were still saved. They were still whatever. They just didn't know what to do with Mark. And then, eventually they got back together. Like, it's not a terrible thing that there are denominations out there. A lot of denominations are based on language and culture, right? You have the German Baptists and the Swedish Baptists, and you have the the Russian Orthodox. You got all kinds of different cultures and languages, and that's okay. That division is perfectly fine. You get a Spanish churches and they have a Spanish denomination, fine. Now others are traditional because of their culture. They come from a certain country, they come from a certain place, they come from a certain history. Others are theological. They have a certain we're locked into this theology, and anybody who's part of our denomination needs to believe that. And for some people, that's a very loose theology. and for some people, it's a very stringent one. I mean, going all the way down to you need to believe this about the end times, and that's just the way it is. Like that's what they've decided is really important to them when it comes to joining their church, joining their denominations. Other denominations are a result of splits. Because somebody got their, underwear in a twist, and they were refused to untwist it. They refused to go through the process of reconciliation. So they took their ball and they said they were going to go play somewhere else, and they created a denomination. A lot of individual churches, a lot of non-denominational churches are planted that way, not because they are sent, not because there are missionaries out there or agencies that were sending them. It's because someone got mad and didn't want to submit to another Christian leader, and so they planted something. It happens. What do I think of it? I think there's lots of really healthy reasons to have denominations. When it comes to the fighting among them, right? Of fighting between them, there are good fights and there are bad fights, right? A good fight is one where you're fighting for the faith, biblical faith, right? Where it really is, this is between right and wrong. This is a Jesus issue. This is a God issue. You're worshiping the wrong God. You are worshiping a Jesus that you made up yourself. You need correction. You need to be talked to. You need something that you're wrong, and you need to be brought into correction, right? And you see that in like all the way through Scripture, where Paul is like, "Listen, guys." At one point, he's like, "I will come and I will shut you down. I will curse the snot out of you people. You need to get this right." It's that serious. You got to get these things right, and that's a good fight. You should have that fight. I've had two denominations in the past when I was with two different Baptist denominations, both fighting about LGBT, what to do about that. In the last denomination I was in, Baptist, you had a segment. There was a third that were like, we should, gay marriage is good, and gay pastors are good, and gay elders are good, and everything, anybody do whatever. And then there was a third that were in the same denomination that were like, no, the Bible says you can't do that. This is the qualification of an elder, and this is the qualification of a pastor, and you can't, shouldn't be able to marry. You can't marry, LGBTQ, because that's not how that works in the Bible. And these two people were at odds. And then there was a mushy third in the middle that didn't know what to do with themselves and didn't really seem to care. You have to have that argument as a denomination, and you have to have that argument against other denominations, because there is a right answer. There is a place to settle, and you need to do that. Other fights, not as good. Other fights are, for example, infant baptism versus believer's baptism, right? Both are very well defended in Scripture. There's no way to settle that one, right? So you should be able to be brothers and sisters depending on chain weapon. You should be able to not fight with them. So, but as we were just talking about, there's some people who get their underwear in a real twist, and that's their identity, is fighting. I can't tell you how many churches I've been to that all they talk about is creation versus evolution. That's the only thing they care about. They don't talk about the gospel. They don't serve other people. They don't care for each other. They don't have small groups. God help you. They only talk about creation versus evolution. Some of them only talk about the end times. When, let's fight about pre, mid, post, blah. That's all they talk about, because for them, that's their entire identity. It is not humble submission and loving other people and trying to bring them along. It is just, this is my thing, and if you disagree with me, I'm going to step on you, because they're prideful, or they're lost, or they're something. And then you add in the last thing. What else do I think about denominations fighting? Remember, the church is the most important organization on planet Earth. It is the people by which God has chosen to save the world, to serve the world, to point people at Him, to be able to change everything. He chooses to work through the church. Therefore, the enemy of our souls hates the church, and is doing everything possible to be able to shut it down, make it miserable, make them fight with each other, make them powerless, get them distracted, and it works very, very well for a lot of people. You have a church that starts with, we really need to serve our neighbors, and we really need to feed the homeless. We really need to talk about the gospel and whatever. And then, within a few years, they're fighting about the carpet and fighting about the furnace and fighting about the roof. And they're fighting about, like the what should they do with the children and whatnot? We need to shut them all up. And I pastored those churches, right? And they're no longer on mission. Why? Because Satan won that battle. He managed to distract them so sufficiently that they're fighting with each other so that they are no longer able to share the gospel, love people, be a light in their community. He wins. That is another problem with denominational fighting, is that it is a representation of a point on the side of Team Satan. In sometimes. Okay, scrolling down. Call me Saint Nick because I'm going to punch heretics. Yeah, go look into Saint Nick. He had some interesting stuff going on. Blue Hat says, got a question. What are your take on what's happening in the UK? There are 2 bills in the US that are similar. I know it says that we don't know the time and the date when Christ is coming back, but all this censorship is concerning. Give me more details, Blue Hat. Which one are you talking about and what's actually happening? Because I don't really follow that stuff. I don't pick fights with Episcopalians. Alcohol always escalate things. Hey, man. Yeah, nobody ever started a fight with Welch's grape juice. We have a church next to us that has a gay pastor, so I do not believe that is even possible. Well, it's possible. Is it right or is it wrong? You know, is it scriptural? If it's God's church and it's God's way of doing things, and God's the one that gets to orient how he wants to, because it's his people, his body. If Jesus gets to decide what happens, then we don't have, it doesn't matter how we feel. It doesn't matter what we think about men, women, age, gender, the where they're from, right? Doesn't matter. God chooses, and he's the one who decides what his church is going to look like. There are lots of churches in the past in New Testament, right, that they were fighting because they were racist. They were fighting because they were sexist. They were fighting because they were ageist. They were fighting because they were classist. You know, like they're all kinds of stuff. There's all manner of fighting because people were trying to fit their own, who is actually God's proper person for this, and it must be like me, into God's system. And the answer was no, it's not. There's no, you know, it's very clear that God has opened up the doors to very many people, and he has made it very clear that there are some people that, some, you know, beliefs that are just a no. Okay, I will. Okay. By the grace of God, our church doesn't fight over stupid stuff like paint or speakers, right? We have to be careful who we appoint to build things, because we'll just vote anything if there's a chance it reaches people with the gospel. Yeah, like who's the gate? Right? Who's the that's why you need representatives that are leaders. That's why God appoints elders and deacons and give people different gifts, like the gift of pastoring, the gift of leadership, gift of administration, gift of discernment. That's why he does that, so that you can try to figure out his will and figure out what he's doing, so you can come along with that. Because not all good things are the right things. Sometimes it's a good thing and it's actually a bad thing, right? It's a good thing, but it's not for you. It's for someone else. And if you get distracted doing the good thing, you won't be able to do the great thing that God has called you to do, right? Jake Snake Cake Bake guy says, a gay person such as a lay person, yes, every time someone falls into some sin, they can repent and they come back to God's will. But a gay pastor doesn't sound possible, because the pastor is supposed to be more than in line with God's designs. It depends on what you call gay, right? We're calling something a sin. We can't have leaders embracing them as part of their lifestyle. That's the difference, right? So there are guys out there that have homosexual tendencies, or they have same-sex attraction, and have chosen to submit that to God and go, I'm not going to pursue that. It's not in scripture. It doesn't matter what my feelings are. It doesn't matter how what I want. What matters is what God says. And if he says that's not cool, then I'm not going to do it. In the same way that you have, like pastors who struggle with anger, and they're like, I feel like I should go yell at everybody. And I'm smart enough to be able to do it in such a way that they all get really upset. But God said not to do it that way. I need to be gentle. I need to be more patient, right? Same way that, like the pastor who's got is struggling with his marriage or something like that, and all of a sudden he feels like he is in love with the secretary or in love with some other person, and God has called that person into their life to rescue him from this horrible marriage. He looks in the scripture and he goes, you know what? That's a no. That's the enemy telling me to go somewhere else. Right? That's a sin. So I'm not going to do that. Even though I feel like it, I'm not going to do it. It's the Bible gets to determine what we do, who we are, what our morality is, and how the church is built. And so therefore your feelings come second, right? They're not part of the system. They're not part of the equation. They're just not the biggest part of the equation. Warrior says, I do like one pastor on TikTok, tons of tattoos, but right on everything else he talks about. Yeah, tattoos are okay. Nothing in the Bible says no tattoos. But the thing in Old Testament, that's worship. Don't worship the demons by putting a tattoo on you to declare yourself to be a demon worshiper. As long as you're not doing that, you're fine. If God is calling this in, yeah. Mandatory 18 plus, demanding ID. The even age block the NVIDIA app. No Gen Z see the graphics card. But also in the UK, they want to lock you for something you said online. Oh, I've seen that. UK want US to send anyone they get over the law over, even if they've been in the UK. See, that's insane. You can't do that. You can't arrest people in other countries. That's not allowed. That's why we have borders. The internet is the Wild West, and therefore we do need to have some kind of policing of it. Because what we've learned that there are people who are really bad actors who are going to do horrible stuff that are going to be just the worst, and we need people who are smart enough to, like, we need sheriffs that are able to shut those guys down. We need jail cells, put those bad guys in. We need walls around our town so that people can, the bad guys can't get in. We need that stuff. It's just the way it is, and if we just say everybody can do everything they want, the internet would be 4chan within 2 seconds. Right? It's like you go to Reddit sometime and it's not fun over there. So we do need some walls. However, what the UK traditionally has been doing over the last, I guess not traditionally, but like over the last, 60, 50 years, is they're trying to legislate morality in such a way that they can allow sin, but but save people from the consequences of it. Right. So, for example, they won't say no, but they will say that you, if you do this, I don't know. What am I trying to say? Like, for example, they'll let porn on the internet, which is evil and bad because self-expression. But at the same time, they're trying to legislate who can see it and when they can see it and what they're going to see it and who's going to be in it and how they're going to do it and what they're allowed to do. And like porn by definition is sin and dangerous and is breaking people. They're trying to figure out a way that they can make it okay and safe. It's impossible. Like saying this, like trying to make venom safe. Not gonna be safe ever. That kind of thing. And so if they're trying to create an internet that is safer, they're trying to go, we want bad stuff on the internet. We can't stop bad stuff on the internet. We'd never say anybody cannot have bad things on the internet, but we're gonna try to save people from the consequences thereof. And you just can't do that. In my opinion, what I would like to see on the internet is I would like to see porn and all the kind of the gambling sites and that kind of stuff as opt-in from the provider. Okay, I think to me that would be a real boon. If what we can do is you had to call up, your internet host provider and go, hey, I would like the porn, please. Sign me up. I'd also like the gambling. I'd also like the adult-oriented chat. I would also like unrestricted access to any sites that have viruses and potentially malware. Can you just turn all that on for me? That would be super awesome. Yeah, you have to call your pastor. You got to call your pastor to get him to call. Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's your step. Right, at least that way you could you could block it out, and people could opt in if they wanted to, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it kind of falling into the hands of kids and stuff because they couldn't do it because it was blocked at the source. Like I'm a Canadian man. I'm a hardcore socialist who believes that the government should be able to do everything for me. I can't even drive my own car. The government needs to tell me how to do it. And so therefore I have a sort of a bent towards allowing the government to have control over some stuff. But at the same time, I also know that there's no way you can make sin safe. It's impossible. No graven image of you a tattoo before being a believer. Nothing you can do like him, but not sure if you're already one. No engraven image. Engraven? It's great. That's an image, dude. You're talking about like a statue. You can't make a statue of God. You're not allowed to do that. The tattoo thing is a demon worship thing. In the same way, some of these people who are like, Christians can't get ear piercings. Says who? When the Old Testament says you're not supposed to pierce your ear. No, what it says is you're not allowed to commit yourself completely heart and soul to a demon is what it says. But it also says in New Testament where it talks about how you can symbolically like pierce your ear, it's piercing whatever. It's not your ear, but it's like this is a commitment you're making to Jesus so that you're completely sold out to him, right? That's what you're doing. And so it's not the ear, it's not the piercing, it is the heart behind it and the reason for it. In the same way that the tattoo, it's the heart behind it, the reason for it. That's what matters right now. That's the whole beauty of Jesus making the law, fulfilling the law and the prophets, because he opens up the door for all this stuff, because your conscience is important. It's beyond just here's a list of things you can and can't do, because it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Okay. How's that? That's a bunch of things. Good job, guys, by the way. When I said anybody have an AMA, you guys absolutely did. Okay. Shall we move? If it listed all the things, yeah. I saw somewhere it said something like, if it's not in the Bible, you're not allowed to do it. And I'm like, uh-oh. What am I going to do with my cell phone? Not allowed to use it. Yeah, and then, the Spanish Inquisition, right? Man, that was bad. And it came out of nowhere. Who could have seen it coming? Okay, so what I want to talk about, let's switch over the music to a bit of jazz so we can kind of buckle down and concentrate. This is our Lego music. It will be Lego music on Thursday. I'm so excited to be able to build this thing. It's so cool looking. It's got like a coffee thing. It's got like a bear on the back. Like it's gonna look so cute. Okay, so what we did, so yesterday we had a conversation about people who struggle to grow up. Essentially, it came down to why some people never seem to grow up and what can't admit why. It came down to something they called, or I'd never heard before, but avoidant personality disorder, which wasn't necessarily that someone they just didn't want to go outside. It was they did want to go outside. They did want to make friends. They did want to do stuff. They did want a good job, but they were so scared of being rejected, or so scared of making a mistake, or so scared of bad stuff happening on the outside that won over anything they wanted to do. So they avoided responsibility, and they avoided making friends, and they avoided reality in a very real sense. They avoided everything. And this person that they were talking about, I think Adam was his name, like he's like, I won't do any. Mom has to do it. If I do anything, I might screw it up. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. He had no friends, no nothing. He lived online through his games, and even then, the games weren't something that were really speaking to him. They weren't a positive. He couldn't even figure out what game to play because it was just him trying to escape. And so we went through all that kind of yesterday.
Hello there.
Hey, Anna's Cakery, good to see you. And we kind of talked about from our own perspective. And I shared a lot about, sort of where I'm at and me struggling with some of that stuff, and because of abuse and because of difficulty and because you get used to it, kind of staying home. that kind of thing. And then we kind of talked about how it's not because they're just, they aren't just immature. Like, yes, there's some immaturity there. Yes, I use the term big baby, but not in a necessarily derogatory sense, but in the sense that they are avoiding, they're dependent, they don't want to, they don't know how to, they're struggling, you know what I mean? And so therefore, because it's not really laziness, it's more like self-protection. It's a result of this personality disorder that has caused them to not be able to function in the world. They just avoid things, they're passive, they hide behind these childish things that they do. They change their perception of the world so that it's too scary out there, or they'll always screw it up. Like, they just kind of pull away, and that hit home for some folks. Yesterday we talked about, we kind of went through this article here, and there were more than a couple people who were like, I've struggled with that, or I feel that, or I've done that, or I just feels close to me. And so what I wanted to do is I want to go into the second part. So this is, it says here, where does it say? This is the second part of the 2-part series. We did part 1 yesterday. Today's passage, old school pastor, what are you going to do? Today's article is called "When Adulthood Feels Too Dangerous Inside an Avoidant Mind." So the issue is this thing called, what do they call it again? Avoidance personality disorder. And the second part is kind of coming into this, what is going on in this person. And I want to do it instead of doing it from merely could be us situation. And I think that's important for people who are going through this. But because it's Taco Tuesday, I want to talk about how we can help, or how we can recognize, or how we can connect to people who are going through this stuff. Okay? Because there are a lot of people out there that are on the internet, and this is the entire sales pitch for digital missions, which is, hey, the church is trying really hard to go to the nations, to go into the city, go into the poor, go do all kinds of stuff to help people meet people. But what they fail to recognize, what they don't see, is that there are people who aren't out. They don't go to the coffee shop, and they don't go to the homeless shelter, and they don't go to their psychiatrist, and they don't ever go to church. They don't have friends, like the whole thing is, well, tell your friends about Jesus. They don't have friends. So there's no Venn diagram that overlaps to that person. They're at home. What do we do with the folks that you don't see, have not considered, church, that you have absolutely no way to discover, to serve, to find, to help, to communicate with? What are you going to do with them? The only thing you can do is to go to them through the medium that they're on, and they are on the internet, and they are in video games and on social media. That's where they are. That's what we're doing. So digital missions is finding this undiscovered country of people who have no way for the traditional church to be able to connect to them, no way for traditional evangelists or pastors or counselors or anybody to help them. And to be able to go into their room, show them the love of Jesus, show them acceptance, build that bridge so that we can find them show them God's love. That's what we're doing. That's the pitch for digital missions. I've been trying to tell people that for 4 years. And this is a great article to kind of typify what those people are like. And also I want to do that. And then I want to do what I'm going to call 10 ways to care for avoidant or neat people in your online community. So we're going to do this from the perspective of you, and then we're going to do the perspective of us as content creators. What can we do? Does that make sense? I'm going to sit down. Does anybody have any questions before we kick off? Because I'm just going to go through this article. We're going to react to it, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do the top 10 things. No? Okay, good. We already AMA'd all the AMA. We're going to AMA. When adulthood feels too dangerous inside the avoidant mind. Unspoken shame doesn't get better with age. It gets redirected or disguised. People with avoidant personality disorder may project shame outward to protect against self-exposure. Unspoken shame doesn't fade with time. It evolves into blame, bitterness, and detachment. Avoidance may appear to mature, but its paralysis often shifts underground rather than heals. That's where we're going. That's a summary. And it's so yesterday's article was really about this is what's happening currently. This is that person's presence. This is where they're at. This is what they're with their mom. This is where why they're at home. This is what they're doing with their time. And the thought is, and for maybe some older generations, we talked about yesterday. We did an article called "Is the Church Ready for the ADHD Generation?" And the answer was no, not at all, because they don't recognize it, because they're not changing, because they want the person to change rather than them to change, in a very real sense. And so, in the same way, this person that we look at who's at home or that's having a struggle, many people will look at that person and go, well, why don't you just go out? Why don't you just go make a friend? Why don't you just go take a class? Why don't you just go join a team? Why don't you just go step outside? Why don't you just go, do something elsewhere? You'll make a friend, you'll get some fresh air, everything will be better. And the thing that's disconnected for them is the realization that it really is something they're paralyzed by. They're not getting better. And if the assumption is, well, we'll just leave them in their room, eventually they'll get tired of being there. Eventually they'll get sick of being alone. Eventually they'll get sick of being, miserable, and then they'll step outside, and then we'll be able to help them. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to when I've gone to churches or I've gone to speak places, and then I do in the AMA or the question afterwards, and someone goes, or multiple someones go, I have a nephew, I have a niece, I have it's always a nephew. I don't know why, but who never leaves their room. And I've been I try to get them out, and I've tried to bribe them and try to take them out and try to give them reasons to leave. And I don't understand them, and they don't want to, and I don't know what to do. And I just keep praying that they would get out of the room, that they would leave the room, that God would bring them something to get them out of the room. And my response to them is to say, what if you changed your prayer instead of getting them out of the room? What if you prayed that someone who loves them, understands them, and is able to speak their language, and really shares a commonality to them in some of those struggles, goes into their room and lives with them in that room and speaks to them in that room in a language they can understand, then is able to go, let's talk. Because they're not going to leave. And according to we're going to read this article. I haven't finished it, but and it's not going to get better. They're not going to get tired of it. In fact, it's going to crystallize into something really, really hard. We don't want that. As Freud implied through his writings, including Repression in 1915, good old Freud. You always got to start with Freud somewhere. The unexpressed emotions don't simply vanish. They're buried and often return in distorted, destructive ways. When feelings are too threatening to confront directly, the psyche defends itself by pushing them out of awareness. But these buried effects don't disappear. They resurface as symptoms, relational dysfunction, and unexpected emotional outbursts. I think we can all recognize that. How many have been through that, where you are more angry than you feel like you should be, or you're more scared, or you got some emotions that are going on, and it's not because of the thing in front of you. It's something that is happening because of stuff that happened in the past. And you start to recognize that. You're like, I'm realizing now, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at my mom, who, from 30 years ago. Or I'm not mad at my family. I'm mad at work. I'm not mad at whatever. I'm mad because something bad happened to me and I'm taking it out on people, or, whatever. Or I have an insecurity and it got pushed on and it came out of nowhere. And I thought I'd fought that. I thought I'd put that away, It's the thing that leaps to mind immediately is grief. Christians historically have made sure that we have funerals, that we bring people into funerals, or we have times of grieving, or times of loss, times of lament. When something bad happens, like the church will stop, be like, we're going to spend some time grieving over this, talking about this, walking through this, asking God for help, leaning on each other and trying to figure out, what we're supposed to do together to get through this. Whereas modern society generally just avoids. They don't want to feel it. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to talk about it. So they don't have a funeral, and they do a celebration of life where everybody has to be happy. And then anybody who's going through the grieving process has to be very quiet because if you bring that up, you're just they wouldn't want that. You're just being sour or whatever. And so the assumption is if I just pretend it didn't happen and I just have happy things all the time, it'll be fine. That is not how it works. It will crystallize and become other problems. You will grieve either healthily or unhealthily. And that's what this is talking about. Those feelings, whatever they are, whether it's because you were abused, whether it's because you lost something, whether it's because you were hurt, PTSD stuff, whether it's because you lived with anxiety, doesn't matter. Whatever your stuff is, it doesn't just go away. It needs to be processed. It needs to be thought through. You need to go through the forgiving, go through the reconciliation, go through the processing, go through the counseling, you got to go through it. And then on the other side of that, once you process that kind of stuff, you have some tools in your toolbox to deal with that when it starts popping up, you can deal with it in a healthy way and have healthy relationships with others. But what if you don't ever see a counselor? What if you never get out of your room? What if you if you live on the internet, the thing about the internet, it only gives you what you ask for, right? If you go and you look through stuff and you're like, the algorithm will just continue to feed you the thing that you like, feed you the thing that you want to watch, feed you the stuff that keeps you watching, whether it makes you angry or makes you sad or makes you laugh or gossip, or it doesn't care. All it cares about is you're watching, and it can sell you ads. And so at what point, if you're alone or if you're stuck in that loop, video game, TikTok, bed, at what point does I have some truth, some light come into my life to tell me the truth, to confront me with some reality, tell me that, my thinking is incorrect, and to give me tools to be able to process this in a realistic way so I can be healthier on the other side. You'd have to go look for that. You'd have to find it yourself. And it would have to be something that doesn't just feed your own the assumptions about how you should deal with this, right? It's a diet issue. I can't tell you how many people have psychological issues or trauma issues or whatever that they want to solve using diet. I've known so many, and I was a homeschooler for a long time. And let me tell you, man, the solution to everything was gluten-free, no sugar, and kombucha. You do that and you're better. Everything will be better. Your kids will be better. Life will be better. Everything will be better, because that's the solution to all things. And they just leaned on that so hard. And that is just not the case. That is not the case. And if you deny there actually is a greater need for something bigger, counseling or medical treatment or something, then you're just hurting that person. So that person who's in their room, it's really hard. So what we do as Christian content creators is we try to create entertainment or interest or a bridge or something that speaks their language. Hey, Star Blue, that gets them interested. That's why I play games. That's why we have a Minecraft server. That's why I do silly stuff. We look at silly pictures. That's why I talk about all kinds of things. Because it's, hopefully it grabs onto somebody who goes, hey, that was interesting enough for them to go, that guy's not just interesting, he's also safe. Oh, he's not just interesting and safe, he's also knowledgeable. He seems to be okay to ask a question to. Oh, he's not just knowledgeable, he's got love. He's not just pooping on on everything I think. He actually cares about cares about me, and he's patient, and that's kind of cool. And I wonder why. Maybe it's because of Jesus. And then, that might take a little while, but that's the plan, right? Just to double check if you're not a bot. Okay, I'm glad.
Hello there.
Okay. Shadow says, the Lord has been teaching me how to lament and mourn. My hang up was that I didn't feel like I should be truly mournful, grieving, lamenting when I know that God works all things out together for my good. Oh, dude. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people in church that when you say something bad, is happening, they completely deny it. Christians don't worry. You're like, man, I'm so worried about such and such. And instead of tell me more about that, what's going on in your life, it's Christians don't worry. Jesus said not to worry. You shouldn't worry. In other words, shut up. We don't do that here, right? Or, someone who's grieving really sad, have you prayed about that? The joy of the Lord is your strength. You know what I mean? God is good all the time. Let's sing that together for a little while. God is good all the time. Meanwhile, that person is falling apart. And you just want them to shove their emotions into a box so that you don't have to deal with it. It's evil and it's wrong and it's terrible. Yeah. The whole God is good, therefore none of us can feel anything is such bunk. Such bunk. Everybody grieved. Jesus grieved. Everybody grieves. Meaning making me more like Christ. Christ grieved. Like that. To do so would be sort of telling God he doesn't know what he's doing and would not be trusting in him. But neither is denying your emotions. Neither is pretending you don't have them. Neither is believing it in your head that you are really shamed, you're really messed up, and that's a real problem, and that God doesn't like you for that, right? Like, you should come to me, you who are weary. Come to me, you are heavy in heart, who are heavy laden. You know, I am gentle. You know, my burden is light. You know, he is the man of sorrow, well acquainted with grief. He's the one who doesn't snuff out the smoldering wick. He doesn't break off the bending reed. He is full of compassion for people who are going through bad times. That's why he exchanged your heart of stone for a heart of flesh. That's why he takes your ashes and gives you beauty, right? That's what he does. It part of his thing is that he knows that you are a messed up person full of all kinds of stuff, and he works through being able to get you healthy by helping you with that, not denying it, not pretending it doesn't exist. In fact, part of it existing is you desiring God. And he would be, but one of the pastors at church has directed me back to the Psalms to see lamenting, grieving, and mourning there. Yeah, there's a whole book about it, and yeah, a lot of them are. There's some pretty pointed language at God in the Psalms. You know what I mean? Really pointed language. Like God, you are gone, and you left me behind, and you're not here anymore, and you don't even care. You know, Jeremiah, you lied. God, you lied. I thought this was going to be something, and you said it was going to be that, and it's not what it is. And you big fat liar who told me something. You suckered me into this. Like, heavy stuff being said to God by prophets, by, you know, David, by Saul, like by big, you know, like real believers, you know, people who actually believed. It was, we're not meant to suppress all of our feelings, not by any shot. We are supposed to be talking to God about this stuff. It's okay. We can grieve at our own inability, pain, loss, at the same time trust God. You can do both. Exactly. Warrior says, my friend saw someone in my community that threatened his life. I did get back to this person because he's also a friend, but he did not share much the other day. He went to a mental health institute. You just never know. That's very true, right? You just never know is yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going through something. I know I keep saying this, but when I was a pastor, probably the biggest lesson I learned was everybody is going through some really serious stuff or has been through some really serious stuff. Like the happiest person that you know, talk to them for 10 minutes about some real stuff and they'll tell you some pretty scary stories. The person who is, you know, the most hopeful, prayerful person in the world, you're like, so tell me about your life. You're going to be like, wow, that's bad. How are you through that? And their answer is going to be, God is the only reason I got through that. But that's not just the occasional person. That's all the people. Like, you are not the exception because you're having a bad time, because you're struggling with sin, because you're grieving something, because you feel hopeless, because you feel lost, because you don't understand where you're supposed to be in life, because you were neglected, rejected, hurt, and abused. You are not alone. Everybody in the body of Christ has felt something like that at some degree or another that radically changed who they were and deeply affects them. It's just across the board. You never know, but everybody's going through it. Everybody's going through something. Everybody. That's why envy is dumb and jealousy is dumb. You never know what you're at. If you're like, I want to be that person, you don't know what you're asking for. Right? You don't know what you're asking for. Their burdens, their issues, the things that you don't see could be crippling to you. It could kill you because you are not ready for that. And all you see is the good stuff. All you see is they have some money and they have a really nice spouse and they've got a cool house and everybody seems to like them, and you don't recognize what's going on. behind the scenes. In fact, the stuff that they're going through or have gone through would have killed you, and you should not be envious of that. But by the grace of God. Like this cancer journey. Yeah, exactly, Shadow. Yeah, with Ali, 100%. Only way we made this far without falling apart is the Lord. No question about that. Yeah, and when you see the miracles happening, yo, thank you, sir. And Shadow, you could probably, hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. You human. Prove it. Prove it by hitting the button. If you've been like, and Shadow can attest to this, I can almost certainly say, and that is, there are times where, and maybe I'll speak for myself. I've been through some bad stuff. I don't need to go through it all. But there are times I will laugh out loud at how bad it is that day. How sad, how miserable, how like just catastrophically awful I feel. And then I get up and I keep moving. And I'm like, yeah, wow, this is really terrible. It's super terrible. and there's the peace that passes understanding, the hope that does not fail, faith that is in things that changes everything, right? Gives you perspective, an eternal perspective on stuff, and that the Holy Spirit is real, is present, is there, giving you the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, and also filling you with something that is beyond your comprehension. Then it becomes miraculous in that moment. And if you compare, and I know comparison is dangerous, but if you compare yourself to others and who are going through a similar situation, and I'd imagine, Shadow, you've been doing this long enough, you've probably seen other people, other couples, other women, right, who have gone through what she's going through, or going through something similar, and they're falling apart. Their marriages are falling apart, their lives are falling apart. They become, they're angry, they're bitter, they're selfish, they turn into just the worst person. And the difference is Jesus. That's the difference. It's not because you're not going through bad stuff. It's not because you didn't even think you wanted to do bad stuff, or that she wanted to feel miserable or wanted to, lash out or whatever. It is because God himself is working in your heart. The Holy Spirit is keeping you on the straight and narrow, and he's giving you emotions that are in check because he's good to you. That's the difference, is Jesus, right? I've been told, by multiple people, and I mean real like counselors and psychiatrists and stuff like that, my own doctor, that the stuff that I've gone through would have killed others because they've died. They've seen what I went through, and then they've seen people die from it. And my doctor is really funny, because I'd go in there and things were back when things were really, really bad. And he's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm not doing well, honestly. But you know what? I'm here." And and then he checks all my vitals and he's like, "Dang, man, why are you sick?" He's like, "I have people in my practice who are going through 10% of what you're going through, and their body is falling apart, right? Their stomach is wrecked, and they've got headaches, and their cartilage is ruined, and they can't function, and I'm just barely holding them together. And you're going through some insane stuff. How are you not, falling apart?" And my answer is because Jesus, and literally that's the only reason, is because God himself is holding me together. He is the glue that keeps me together, and that's the truth. Shadow said, "Like the fact that I have peace in the midst of this all only explains the Lord providing it. It doesn't make any human sense." Yeah, you should be freaking out. You should be turning controlling. You should be yelling at the doctors. You should be, yelling at your wife and saying, "You're not even trying. Why aren't you? You should be doing a special diet. The special diet will do it for you." And panicking because how you're going to leave me and then I'm going to be stuck with like that's what you should be doing. And yet here you are, loving, serving, being open, being sacrificial, trusting, being patient, and asking God and putting it all in God's hands. That's miraculous. Miraculous. God stumped some doctor in a similar way, but with health stuff with me. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Duct tape Jesus. Yeah. I say it's more like gravity. You've got this a gravity stone inside of you that your whole body wants to explode, and yet Jesus within has a gravimetric pull that keeps you together. No matter how much pressure there is, no matter how much is going on, you can't expand past the pull that Jesus gives, because he's literally holding you together from the inside out. Doctors have done stress tests on missionaries, and their stress levels sky high for what a normie can handle, right? Yeah, I want my superpower to be that I can touch people on the shoulder, and they can feel the emotional weight of what I've been through, and just to see what happens. That's it's so selfish and stupid and whatever, but that's what I want. I think it'd be for me anyway. It'd be affirming, you know. But yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. Stress tests for the church media teams look like, yeah, right? Yeah, the one who if they do everything correctly, nobody notices. And if they do one thing wrong, they get turned around and looked at by everybody. What's up? How you doing, Arcone? Good to see you. Hopefully you are well. How are things? We're just talking about an article called "When Adulthood Feels Too Dangerous Inside the Avoidant Mind," and we're just talking about this second phase, and then we're going to jump into what we can do to help them as content creators. Finish up the morning routine. Far out, dude. That's far out, dude. I'm excited. It's nice, right? Yeah. What are you going to do when someone imposes their routine upon you? Oof. You're not going to like that. All right, let's keep going. Max was painfully ashamed of himself, though he could never acknowledge it. Instead, he displaced that shame onto others. When his first date, an ambitious, supportive young woman showed up for real life, he attacked her for it. I'm going to read that again. What? It means I get a paycheck. Yeah, that is a good compensation. Fair enough. Totally stealing your unbanned Pastor Deucin. I'm human. Yeah, go for it, man. I'm here to equip. Max was, hold on. Instead, he displaced his shame onto others. So, in the feeling of shame, when his first date, an ambitious, supportive young woman, showed up in real life, he attacked her for it. Yeah, see, that's not healthy. I'm no psychiatrist or psychologist, but I'm going to say that's not healthy. He punished her for making trip plans, for studying and working hard, for suggesting that they spend time in public. He mocked her aspirations, spread lies about her to his mother, twin brother, and Jenna, the only people he had, and accused her of being difficult when she was the only one making an effort to encourage him out of his room. Yeah, Max sounds like a bit of a jerk, but that's what we're talking about. Yeah, well, it is. We're talking this Psychology Today article is the second part of one yesterday, talking about something called avoidant personality disorder, which essentially, if you've watched anime, is a NEAT. It is pre-isekai anybody, right? That person in most of the isekai. And so this person, right, they've got a lot going on in their heart, and they hate themselves. All right, have a good one, man. Enjoy. Thanks for the raid. They hate themselves, and so you have a choice, right? With anybody, with any emotion that you have against yourself, you have a choice between either turning it inward, turning it outward, or turning it upward. I just came up with that. I'm smart, right?
Hello there.
Like you're either turn it inward and you beat yourself up and you call yourself miserable, horrible, terrible, whatever, or you turn it outward and you it's everyone else's fault and everybody else is the problem and everybody else should be like me and everybody else is terrible and it's the world's fault. Or you turn it upward and you make it God's fault. God created me this way. God did something horrible. God makes mistakes. The world's horrible. All those things, or maybe you do all three, are just you trying to project or trying to deal with this pain in an unhealthy way. What you can do is you can look inward and you say to yourself, okay, what am I contributing to this? What part of this it really is me? What part of this really is my environment? And what is the truth from God? Right? So you look at this, you know, what is me? Well, I'm choosing not to go outside. I've chosen, yes, it's my issue, but you know, I feel shame. I feel bad, and whatever. And my environment, the people that are around me, I don't have a lot of people that are telling me the other thing. This woman who's in front of me and actually is healthy and is good, she actually is a positive influence, and I really need to be careful. And God did create this world in such a way that I am loved and I have access to supernatural tools, and he can work miracles, and if I depended on him and I obey him, good things can happen. That's the truth. You know, as you process these things, you know, you have different ways to push it. And yeah, it's going to be, yeah, I know. I Jesus juked warrior the opposite way. But this dude here, because of his miserableness, his shame, he wanted to pull her down into his muck, right? And we actually do this all the time, right? Consider yourself for a second, right? You have somebody in your life that's really good at studying, and maybe you're not so good at studying. What do you do to that person, right? You mock them. Man, you're such a nerd. You know, like you really should get out more. You're gonna be a problem. You really get out more. You should be more like, you know, or say someone's really healthy, right? Or they go to the gym. Man, you're just such a gym rat. You're so, you know, like it's wrong. You're probably wrecking your muscles. And you're not supposed to do that much. Or someone who likes to walk. You know, like you're always, what a waste of time. You're gone for hours. You know, like one of the ways that we compensate for our own inadequacies is we look at the person who is healthy or the person who's doing it correctly or whatever, and we try to drag them down to our level, right? The addict who leaves and gets better, comes back to his friends. His friends aren't like, good job. They're like, you should try being addicted some more because you're making us feel bad, right? That's how it works. And so this guy, in his, you know, psychological messed up state, he's trying to suck Jenna into his life. But even that wouldn't work. Like, imagine Jenna was like, okay, I will not show up for you. I will stop making plans. I will quit school. I will work only the barest minimum amount so I can make enough money. You barely make up for anything. I'm going to stop spending time in public. I'm going to have no aspirations. And I'm going to I'm going to do whatever anybody else wants me to do because I don't want to have my own opinions. Oh, and I'm going to stop asking you to leave your room. Say she did that. Completely exactly what he wanted. Would he be happy? Nope. He would have called her toxic and a bad influence and gotten her out of his life because he's not making good decisions. At times, his resentment slipped into unprovoked outbursts. He would become suddenly angry with her over nothing and didn't bother to hide the intensity of his hatred. He even compared her to Jenna, claiming Jenna was a far better woman, someone his date would never be able to catch up to. So if you don't remember, Jenna was this online woman that was his online friend who he'd never met, who was, you know, just this perfect person out there that had a wonderful picture and it was wonderfully everything, you know, just kind of like, this is the perfect person in the whole world. And then he finally meets a girl and he's like, you're nothing like Jenna, my internet girl. Like, women love being told that, by the way. If you ever meet a woman and you're dating her, make sure you compare her to women on the internet, on their bodies and how not clever they are and how they should be dressing different. And that'll definitely get you a long way with the ladies. They love that. My previous relationship, my other women that I know, you're not like my mother, you know. That'll get you. She triggered what he refused to face. The others were growing and he was not. He couldn't tolerate being mirrored by someone with drive, goals, competence, someone who knew who they were. He hated her because she reminded him of everything he wasn't. So he needed to make her feel as worthless as he did. This wasn't just defensive, it was strategic. He couldn't hold his own shame, so he handed it to someone else. Even my romantic self knows not to do that. Yeah. It's sort of basic human condition 101. Don't compare women to your mother or people on the internet. Don't do that. The ones with skin on that you actually see in real life, those ones, they got their own thing going on. Just talk to them. You know what occurs to me as I read this? because I'm thinking all the way. I always think of anime all the time because that's what I watch. But I'm thinking of isekai again, and I wonder if the reason that you always or seem to always have this comparison to the class rep, right? There's the class rep, or the student body president or whatever. There's this person, usually a female, not always, who is attractive, good at sports, very popular, very always smart, and is also super nice, right? Like everything that person who is the neat or isn't, right? He's not successful, he's not popular, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's failing all his classes, and he's actually kind of grumpy. So he gets isekai'd out there, and sometimes the president comes with, and you either find out the president is secretly, just a weakling or lying or has something, whatever, or they're evil. They're secretly evil, and they actually were the bad guy the whole time. That's why you rescue. So I wonder if in sort of the NEET mind, and if you don't know what a NEET is, that means no education, no training, no employment, no education, no training. They just stay home. They're a NEET, and that's what this is. But that's the Japanese version. I wonder if the reason that they do that is because it takes that person who really does have it all put together, right? So in this case, it's what's her name? Does she have a name? Anyway, this woman. If it's just easier to like, you want that person to be a failure. You want that person to actually be weak. You want that person to be more like you. You want them to be secretly lazy, secretly lying, secretly manipulative, secretly, whatever, because it'll be more like you, right? And in your perfect world, when you're finally isekai'd out of it, and you're this perfect person, and everything in your life makes sense now, you get to that person that you compared yourself with. Now you can poop on them, or you can, add them to your harem or something, and whatever. You're dominating this person. I wonder if that's part of it. I'd never really considered that before just now, but I think maybe. I'm going to be watching isekai in a different way after reading this. Or you said, I'm glad I'm married. It would be tough being single in today's society. I bet a lot of fraud going on with internet friends, unless you do your date as a video conference date. Yeah, they talk about that sometimes online, where the current society, the people that are went through COVID and they were in high school, or they were starting their university, what they were supposed to be doing was hanging out with people, stretching themselves, bouncing themselves off of other people in good and bad ways, meeting each other. They didn't. They got locked up for 2 years at home, weren't allowed to talk to each other, weren't allowed to connect, weren't allowed to even talk to grandma and grandpa when they were dying. Like, and it screwed them up substantially, because they had to learn how to compensate with being lonely. And if after 2 years you learn a lot of ways to compensate for being lonely, you are okay, fine, I don't have any women, I'm gonna go compensate with porn. I don't feel very good, I'm going to compensate with chemicals, and I don't really have anything to do, and I can't go to school, so I'm going to compensate with video games. And so now after 2 years, they're like, okay, go back. Well, you've already got all these negative compensations that you're doing, and so to be slapped back into the world where you're like, well, what should I do? It's really, really, really difficult. Plus, if you add the fact that the internet is completely screwing up young men and they're not worth dating anyway, that makes it even harder. People with avoidant personality disorder, or AVPD, desperately want connection. In Max's case, he forced himself to leave his room to meet his date during the first few months, when he could still safely test her responses, despite the intense discomfort of being outside in his familiar environment. Even then, their meetings occurred in carefully controlled conditions, a quiet cafe, not a bar or social venue, where he might feel exposed or outshone by more attractive people. But the fear of humiliation made real connection intolerable. The fear of humiliation. Remember, that's what it is. If they're not sick or whatever, they're not physically unattractive, they're not whatever. What they are is afraid. That's the primary emotion, is they are afraid whatever they're about to do will go sideways and they will be humiliated. They will be mocked. They will be ignored, left behind, feel bad. So it's not worth it. They desire it. They want to be with that person. But like it said, you show up to the bar and you're sitting there and the girl sees the guy and goes like this, you know, and then comes back to you. A healthy person doesn't think about that. Someone walked by, they looked at him. An unhealthy person with massive insecurities why'd she look at him? You know, what was he? Well, he's more handsome than I am. He's you know, just spiral, right? Then you spiral because it's you're massively projecting all these insecurities upon her, and she needs to be, you know, whatever. So how do you save yourself from that? Well, you'll lock yourself in a box where nobody else is. You know, it's not healthy, and you know, it's amazing that this woman stayed with this guy long enough that he would to even have these discussions. But he must have been holding it together pretty okay for at least a couple months. Or they only dated like 6 times. When someone gets close, especially someone confident, competent, and emotionally available, it can unconsciously trigger deep shame. Rather than face it, the avoidant person may project the shame outward by attacking or devaluing the other, mask envy as a contempt, and interpret genuine support as criticism. Hey, look at you. Go, Hannah. Far out. That's exciting. Good for you. Let me know when you sell one. I'm looking forward to you getting your first sale. So when someone gets close, like someone actually comes close, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be brother that you haven't seen in a while, sister you haven't seen in a while, someone who's in your life, mom, dad, uncle, grandma, grandpa, someone from church, pastor, doesn't matter. But they come into your life and they come in, they have a sense of confidence, they have a sense of assurance, they have competence, because they have a job or they have, you know, school or they are a professional or whatever. And they make themselves emotionally available to you because they care about you. Hi, I'm here. I care. Instead of that person seeing that as, wow, here's someone that I kind of like and I kind of want to be like, who knows what they're doing and loves me. They see someone who they're comparing themselves with and they want to crawl into a hole, right? I don't want to be around that person. That person makes me feel bad. I don't want to be around that person. They make me feel like I am lesser than a human being. And then you either pull away, you know, or you attack and devalue them. That pastor doesn't know what he's talking about. My mom has always been a flake. My brother and sister, they're just lying to me. They, you know, I know what their marriage is and what their life is really like. I saw what you were like at age 16. You know, that woman is, you know, just a workaholic or they, you know, whatever, you know, and you just devalue and you shame and you attack the other person. Why? Because you want to bring them down to your level. That's the idea. You want everyone down at your level so that you have an excuse to be the way you are. As long as other people are able to be healthy, other people are compensating, other people have good relationships, other people have strength and that they've worked through, other people are getting out of the room and into somewhere else. You look bad. But if you can pull everyone into your little vortex, make them all as miserable as you are, well, at least then you'll feel better because everybody's in the same boat. Problem is they aren't, right? And then you end up really in trouble, especially if that person takes off because they're just sick of your stuff. Again, digital missions, right? That's why we're here. I know this one I struggle with because I have an issue where I feel the sense of rejection that I potentially am going to feel because that's just how it worked. When I was in churches, they would promise that they would be, you know, they would be my church family, and then they would betray me, and they would hurt me, and they'd break me, and they'd be mean to me, and whatever. They'd publicly humiliate me, and all kinds of horrible stuff. And you know, I had friends who took off on me. You know, I was going through a bad time, and my friends were like, "You suck." No, they didn't say that. They said, "Being your friend sucks. You don't suck, but being your friend sucks." Because every time I talk to you, you're always complaining that something worse happened. And yeah, it's true, but it's just so painful to watch you go through stuff. I don't want to be your friend anymore. And so they left. You know, I had a son who grew up and, you know, all of a sudden he kind of lost his mind, became abusive, beat the heck out of me, and then left, right? Like, so for me, when I process relationship, the person who says, "I love you, I care about you, I want to be your friend, you know, I'm your family member, I'm your, you know, you're someone who's supposed to love you," even if there's a real good chance that they're going to be mean. And because that's just sort of my predilection. That's my damage. There it is. When I'm invited to a thing, like for example, I was invited down to Florida, or invited down to Texas to be part of event. They brought me down there, and I start seeing people that are really competent, and really confident, and really good people. And they start treating me like I'm a friend, like I have value, like I have some something to contribute. You know, we're glad you're here. Like they paid however many hundreds of dollars to fly me down to, you know, put me up in a hotel to help me, you know, get to this thing. They gave me a t-shirt, and I felt loved, felt cared for, felt really present. And then there was a bunch of other content creators there. I'm thinking specifically of the one in Florida that I went to, and everybody's nice. Everybody's nice. And I'm freaking out on the inside. Absolutely freaking out. Why? Because in my mind, their niceness and their love and their vulnerability and the unity that they're speaking of and all the rest of that stuff, my heart can either go, wow, they are legitimately really cool people, and when they say they want to work together and they want to be friends or whatever, they actually mean it, and that's really cool. Or it can go, they're lying like all the other people. They are, you know, they're in it for themselves. They tell me one thing, they don't actually believe it, and they're gonna, you know, eventually they're gonna crap in my cornflakes and just make my life miserable. And that fight was always on. It's still always on. I really struggle with it. And that's to me anyway, that's really similar to what you see here with someone who is, you know, has the AVPD, or they're neat and they're stuck at home and they're feeling miserable. So when they see someone who's good, you know, confident, competent, emotionally available, they don't see, they have a choice, right? They can see someone who's there to help. There's someone there to help, and I want to be like them, and I can trust them, and I can believe in them. Or they can see that person as someone who is talking down to them, making them feel bad, is not available, is lying to them, is yet one more person who, you know, who has it easier than them. They wouldn't understand. And that battle in your head, in my head, is always present. And I have to choose to be okay and to believe that person. Choose to believe that they're not talking behind my back, that they're not secretly being evil. Right? I've got like even now, I've got names in my head of content creators that I've met, that I've looked at, that I've hugged, that are going through that. I've had to have this fight. They're not surface level. They weren't lying to me. They aren't secretly against me. They're not talking behind my back. They're not mocking me for being, you know, XYZ. I can probably come up with 50 ways to mock myself. I'm not gonna. I'll just make myself feel bad. But, you know, I have to fight against that. And in the same way, these guys have to fight against that too. In the same way that anybody who's going through something has to choose to make the decision to fight the bad angel on this side, the demon on this side, and try to believe the angel on this shoulder. And just make that decision. Even though this one's very convincing. This is very convincing. I'm going to decide to decide to listen to the angel on the other shoulder. Is crapping in your cornflakes how they become Raisin Bran? Gross! First off, I'm an old man and I like Raisin Bran. Okay. Second off, gross. My supervisor was also kind enough to scroll up, please. We're in a big family, which that's not always a good thing. It's nice to know, you know, but that means that lean on him for help and do, right? If you have questions, ask. And then don't ask that question again. Learn from it and then write it down and figure it out. And then ask a better question next time. Ask a different question next time. Then your employer wants you to ask questions. He does not want you to want to answer them more than once. Okay? He wants you to ask better questions because you're learning. Okay, now that I've learned this, I want to learn this. Good job, you're progressing, and that will get you a pat on the back. However, if you keep asking the same questions, like you're not learning and not paying attention, et cetera, you're gonna frustrate him, and he's gonna stop answering, or he's gonna say that you're a bigger problem than you need to be. Get out of here. Both in our 40s, so it makes sense. Yeah. All right. The appearance of change when avoidance learns to perform. Ooh. Ooh la la. I don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting. We are family. We spend weekends here. Yeah, exactly. We're family. Therefore, we bend our boundaries, you know. But you're a working woman now, Hannah. No sleep. Only coffee. Or Rogue. You got Rogue. Didn't you just get a shipment of Rogue? Oh, that's so good. Strawberry kiwi. By the way, a little commercial break here. I ordered, and I'm a little scared. I ordered this flavor. Strawberry banana. I have a tier list that I've had most of the flavors now, and I'm a little hesitant on strawberry banana. Could be good, could be terrible. I don't know. I really don't. And then I'm so happy. I ordered the newest flavor, Peaches and Dreams. I'm really excited to try this because it isn't energy. It's chill. Right? So that's actually for when you want to chill out at night. That's when you're fighting anxiety or whatever. That's what that's for. Right? That's the second one. Yeah, I want to try. I'm looking forward to these. It'll be going on the tier list for sure. But so I've got 2 new flavors I want to try. Anyway, commercial break over. Exclamation point Rogue if you want to try that stuff. 10% off. And they're doing free shipping, I think now. So there, that's something too. I have to finish setting up before I can start. Yeah. Strawberry flavors. Yeah. It can either taste gross or only like banana or yeah, we'll see. Free to Canada. No, nothing. 40% off actually. Neener. No, not free to Canada. Free to US. Unfortunately. Okay. The appearance of change when avoidance learns to perform. By the time Max turned 30, something seemed to have shifted, at least on the surface. He had started attending weekly board game nights with a small group of people. Go, Max! He now referred to them hesitantly as friends. It was the most consistent social activity he had maintained in years, but he still lived with his mother and stepfather. His room remained a cluttered cave of blinking screens. He had learned to mimic the appearance of progress without changing the underlying script. Okay. Hey, shenanigans. Hashtag not a bot. Prove it. Hit the button. I don't have that command. You got to hit the channel reward. I had to do $5 shipping for my free samples. Yeah, well, that just started, I think, yesterday. Sorry. Okay, so he had learned to mimic appearance of progress without changing the underlying script. So he goes home and his house is still kind of a wreck and whatnot. Which, you know what? If what you read into this is right, if what you read into this is I need to fix everything all at once, don't. That's not what this means. What it means is, like, for months he'd got out of the house and he'd been doing stuff. He finally got a little momentum, and when it came to the actual problem, which was stuff going on in his head, and usually your environment reflects what's going on in your head, things hadn't really changed. He was still experimenting. He was hoping he could live on both sides of the fence, you know, miserable and have friends. And it's like at some point, one's gonna pull against the other. The friends are gonna pull you out of the misery, or the misery is gonna pull you away from the friends. It's expensive. Yeah, you gotta be careful with it. It'll blow everything. Okay. If anything, the years deepened his contradictions. Part of him seemed painfully aware of his stagnation, his inertia, his smallness in a world that demanded movement. But another part, the louder, more defensive part, had grown more rigid. In group chats, he dropped comments like, all rich people got there by cheating, or the whole system's a scam anyway. That is called, what was that called? Projecting, I think? Maybe not. Or it's I'm sure there's a better word for it when you blame the world. Everybody else is lying. Everybody else has got their in an evil way. I'm better than them. I haven't cheated yet, or I just don't have the luck they have, or the system's against me. That way I don't have to change, right? If they're cheating and I don't cheat, then I'm going to look worse. If the system is a scam and it doesn't work, then that's why I'm down. If it's all based on luck and I don't have any, then obviously that's not going to work. If God is going to be blessing people and I don't feel blessed, then obviously God doesn't exist, because otherwise I would be blessed, right? It's out there's problem. It's not an in here problem. It's an out there problem. And that's why it's okay for me to be me, right? Deflection. There you go. That'll work. Yeah, I like that word better. Rockstar. That's a great name. When someone asked him to elaborate, he'd shrug or go quiet. What do you mean? I don't want to start an argument. I'll lose. Any thread that just risk tugging open the reality of his passivity or lack of action toward life would be swiftly shut down. Yeah, because that deflection, that all that stuff, it is very shaky. It's very shaky, right? All rich people got there by cheating, and you're suddenly like, what about? Like, well, and then the whole system's a scam, and it's like, well, what about? And all of a sudden it's like, maybe I have to admit that I don't know how to use the system, or that they're not cheating, they just smarter than me, or or maybe they just work harder than me, or maybe I need some education or some help or some friends or some counseling, or I've got something wrong with me. That's the immediate next thing. So you don't want to go there, so shut that down. You gotta think about that. He still couldn't name process shame, but it hovered around him like a silent fog. In conversation, you could almost see the freeze set in when talk veered toward work, relationships, or future. Max could be witty when discussing game rules or obscure trivia, but the moment real life entered the conversation, he'd retreat, not physically, but psychically. You could feel the air go out of the room. Yeah, and that's why I was talking about how your friends can pull you out of misery, or your misery can pull you away from your friends. Because they're going to be showing you truth, and they're going to be talking about your good points and challenging you. You're going to be able to compare yourself to them. They're going to know stuff you don't know. They're going to tell you things you don't that you don't know. They're going to give you perspectives on things that you didn't think of before. And when that all starts to happen, that can either pull you out of your misery because holy moly, things aren't as bad as I thought, or there is help out there, or people really do like me, or hey, wait a minute, there can be a plan, or wow, all the people that I thought were evil aren't. Or, here's how the system works. Like literally, it'll can tip you. Or you say, as we were talking about before, that fight that you have between the two angels on the side, you go, the evil one says, these people are lying to me, these people are whatever, or these people are secretly whatever it says, bad things. And you go, I'm going to stay in my muck, which means I can't be around my friends anymore. Because these friends, regardless how healthy they are, they would pull me out of this muck, and that's going to be too much work. I might fail. I might mess up. They might not understand. I might not be like who I am, whatever. Right. And so as soon as they're like, what do you do for work? All that witty, all that I know how to do stuff, all that, like I'm within my own element when I'm talking about D&D or friends or whatever, like as in the show, all goes away because it's like, well, I don't have a great job and I don't have a great, I don't really work out. I don't have a great relationship, and I'm out of my comfort zone, which means I pull back, right? Instead of learning, you can lean in. Another option, lean in. What do you mean? Explain more. Tell me about that. I don't understand. How did you do that? But if you are clouded by shame and you just assume they're going to shame you and assume that everybody's going to look down upon you, you don't want to open that up, because there's a chance these friends might turn on you. There's a chance that you're going to wreck them if they really find out who you are. So you just like, choosing between misery and friends, I'll choose misery. This quiet collapse became starkly visible during a short trip abroad arranged by one of his new friends for their birthday. It was Max's first time leaving the country. The small group had planned everything together. One friend booked the hotel, another volunteered to drive the rental car, and everyone pitched in. On the morning of the departure, one person had a flight issue. As the group gathered to problem solve, checking options, suggesting changes in plan, Max said nothing. He slunk into a corner, glued to his phone. When someone asked gently, Max, do you want to join us? We need to make the decision together. He literally turned away and stayed silent. No excuses, no contribution, not even a facial expression, just blank withdrawal. Right? That's fear, right? That's a lot of fear. Thanks for the lurk, man. It wasn't shyness or confusion. It was avoidance in its purest form. The refusal to step into reality, no matter how low the stakes. Max wasn't just afraid of failure. He was terrified of even being seen trying. Any decision carried the unbearable risk of being wrong, or worse, being responsible. Like, what if he actually suggested something and they said it was okay and it didn't work? You know, then suddenly all the things that he believes about himself and all the fears of the things that he thinks his friends might believe all come true, right? In his mind anyway. Like, I really am a problem. I really am dumb. I really am hurting my friends just by being around them. I really shouldn't say things. I really shouldn't try to contribute, you know? So I'm just going to avoid all that by not saying anything. You know, I know how it's going to go. It's going to go badly. I'll just stay here, you know? Avoidance ages but doesn't evolve. Despite his weekly social appearances, the structure of his psyche remained unchanged. He still floated between childlike helplessness and brittle superiority. Ooh, that's quite a phrase. He still deflected shame by blaming the world, and when the world turned to him and gently asked for participation, he disappeared. Max is still Max. He couldn't commit to anything. He couldn't stay in the real world, and he couldn't stay in the ones he escaped to. He had stopped participating in life before ever learning how to be in it. That's what makes it a mental illness. Remember, we're talking about an avoidant personality disorder. The personality disorder is what makes it a mental illness. This isn't someone who's like, man, they just really like being alone, or they're a super introvert, or whatever. This person has something broken in their brain or in their psychological framework of understanding the world that says the real world, you don't belong there. Everything you do will fail. Every way you participate is going to end badly. That's how they see it, right? If you know somebody who has, say, bipolar, or you know somebody with borderline personality disorder, right? There's something in their brain that is kind of broken, and it means that when they feel the feelings, they feel feelings in big ways, right? Bipolar is, you know, they really do see the world as the greatest thing ever, that all of their ideas are great, and the world is a vampire, and it's sucking the life directly out of my bone marrow. And why would anybody, and everything I do is the worst, and I shouldn't be alive anymore. That's how they see it. It's not that they could just talk themselves out of it. If they really feel that with all their heart. Same with borderline personality, right? It's when they go from 0 to 1,000 in a second. It's not like they choose to do that. That's what happens. It's just what happens. Can you learn to compensate? Yes. Can you learn to use, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy in order to kind of process, why am I feeling this, and should I be feeling this, and should I count to 10? Yes, you can totally do that. But those feelings are still there. And so that's why for Max here, we can't just go suck it up, man, because he really does believe that if I participate in life, bad things are going to happen. If I talk to my friends, they are going to reject me. If I share an idea, it really will get me in trouble. It's not just something that he just kind of thinks and he's just trying to avoid responsibility. He really believes it's going to blow his whole life up, and everything will fall apart. It's a miracle he got that far, and he's not going to do anything to jeopardize it. That's why he sits in the corner, turns away, and goes, I don't want to talk about that. Yummy. Max's life isn't an outlier. It's a quiet, private tragedy, more common than we'd like to admit. People with AVPD often slip through the cracks, appearing passive, even comfortable in their isolation. But beneath the stillness is a desperate struggle to protect themselves from the world, from others, and above all, from themselves. Yeah, it's real. It's very real. And that's what's important. So we're going to talk for just a second here. What I wanted to do is from our perspective as Christian content creators. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Is I want to talk about what we can do to help, right? So that last sentence there, where are we? That Max's life isn't an outlier. It's a quiet, private tragedy, more common than we'd like to admit, is something that Christian content creators, Christian streamers, people who are part of the digital online community know. We know this. This is our life. We know that a lot of people, mental health issues, don't leave the house, struggle with their, physical health, mental health, their the motivation, lack of, all kinds of stuff. They're really, really lonely, damaged, like people out there that are on the internet and they're in our streams. They're watching our content, or they're listening to our podcast, or they're reading our book, or whatever your content creator is. People, they slip through the cracks, and the reason they slip through the cracks, and we're talking to the church specifically, right? The reason that you can't see them, church, is because they are not anywhere you can find them. So they slip through the cracks of evangelism, of pastoral counseling, of psychology, psychologists, or of doctors, of teams of friends, of all that stuff. They slip through the cracks. Why? Because they are at home in their isolation, and they have found a nest to be in, and they don't want to leave the nest because everything else outside is scary. But we believe with all our heart that this is true, that in that stillness, in that nest, they really, really do want to connect to the world, and they really, really, really want to be part of stuff. And they want to be better. They're just terrified. They just have something blocking them, seriously blocking them. So how can we help? Fear of failure, if allowed, inevitably causes the thing feared. Lack of trying is already failure if you think about it. And that's the problem, right? Is that you're going to fail. Like the devil on your shoulder is saying you'll fail, and you're like, yeah, you're right. I will. So why try? It's an inevitability. Like if I throw this rock over this cliff, it will go down. Right? There's no part of me that thinks it will continue to sail for all time in that direction. It will go down. So if I want to keep this rock, and if I throw it, it's going to fall down. I can't, there's nothing I can do about that. And you're telling me to throw a rock and to make it sail. I can't. It's impossible. You're asking the impossible. Every rock I've thrown goes like this, splash, splash. And you're trying to tell me one is just going to sail? That's what you're trying to tell me? You're insane, right? You're asking me to do something that I simply cannot do. That's how they see the world, right? It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to try throwing another rock and hope for the best. They don't see that the rock could float. They just don't, they can't conceive of it, right? They cannot conceive of it. Want to be sure to show a poem God gave me a while back on some of this topic? Sure, I guess. I can't do this, so why? Yeah, so why even try? Yeah, I won't even try. I can't make friends. I shouldn't go out. If I contribute, it's going to go bad. So why should I contribute? If I meet a girl or meet a guy, they're going to be, they're not going to like me, or I'm going to screw it up. So why should I even try? I can't do anything. I shouldn't be responsible for stuff. Every time I'm responsible, I screw it up. So I'm not going to be responsible for anything. Why would I do that? I'm helping others by not helping. And they believe that with all their heart. I'm going to get some water. I'm kind of dying right now. And after I'm going to get some water. I'm going to fill this thing up. I'm going to come back. We're going to read apparently a poem. And then we'll come back to this conversation about 10 ways to care for avoidant or neat folks in your online community. Check out my website, !web. You'll see the invitation to the taco training, which is on right now. Remember, spots are limited, and a lot of people want to be in there. If you know a content creator who said they wanted to take it, go tell them. If you are a content creator who wanted to take it, now's the time to sign up. This is it. Go check it out. !web. Also, do me a favor and share this around. If you found this helpful or interesting, go and check out. Go to Twitter or X and hit repost. Just repost the thing that's on there right now. Send it around. It costs you nothing and it helps me out a lot. I'll be right back. See you soon. Hello. Good to see you. What did XNV2 say? What are we not telling me? What do you think of Twitch permanently banning an innocent man without giving him warning? Oops, the classic. Oops, I tripped over the ban button. Twitch sometimes runs on game logic where warnings like that are the one sock you can never find. Innocent until proved guilty, right? Let's just hope the next patch for Twitch includes due process as a feature. Yeah. For now, I'll just be here making sure nobody accidentally gets banned for sneezing too loud. Remember, folks, stay lighthearted in the chaos. He's such a positive guy, that XNV2. Poem is DM'd to you. Oh, okay. It's too long, but it's not long. Okay, I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. All right. Here's the poem. Problem of the Domes. Says this. There is one place we all know called the Dome of the Home, and another place where some of us don't often like to roam. It's a place that's unfamiliar, it's different, and it's new. To the people who are always in their home domes, it's quite true. This place can seem quite scary, very dangerous too, to the dwellers of the home domes, maybe me or maybe you, but you see, that's just the problem. Those who stay long in their domes don't know much about the outside. That's the place called the unknown. To experience the unknown is the way to make it known. But that's less likely to happen if they hold up in the domes. See, a dome is like a bubble, and it offers us protection. But if we just pop the bubble, maybe then we'll gain connection to the people and the things in the space outside the dome, to what God wants us to see in that place we call unknown. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. That's a full-on poem. Got all the marks of a poem. Love it. That's actually really good. It's interesting when I read it, because as I was reading it, like, I didn't know where it was going. I never read it before. But my thought was, I wonder how a NEET or an AVP, DBP would read that. Because it would be reading as, I am in the dome and I'm part of the dome and I shouldn't be in my dome, right? If you just give it a try. That is, it's great. It's exactly the right advice. Try, go somewhere. I've given the advice myself. Just pick a place that you think might be okay and safe and go there. You don't have to do a ton. You just got to get out of the house for a second, guys, and go anywhere. Even if it's not like the perfect spot, just go somewhere. Try it out, right? And the problem is if your brain won't let you. Like, yeah, you're right. If you get out there and maybe not pop the bubble, but at least, leave the bubble for a minute. Yeah. I like it. Well done. Zoom won't let me log into my new tablet. Oh, you'll be all right. Don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. You're smart. 10 ways to care for avoidant NEET folks in the in content creation. Hold on, we're gonna go back in here. Okay, so what we did is we just talked a lot about the AVPD and NEET folks and whatnot. We as content creators, what can we do to help people who are struggling with avoidance, personality disorder, and those who are NEETs, no employment, no education, no training, in our online communities, right? In our online communities. So of course, I checked out, I talked to ChatGPT about this a little bit, went back and forth, had it do some research, gave it some stuff, and then we came up with 10. And so I think they're pretty good. It's worth reading anyway. So number one, first thing we can do when it comes to these kind of folks is we can recognize them. Quiet lurkers, chronic chatters who never share personal stuff, people who vanish for months or always keep the conversation light and funny. These are often the avoidant folks. Their presence matters, even if they never say a word. That's sort of what we were talking about. Hey, Blocker. Sort of what we were talking about before when it came to the calling out of lurkers. Remember, we were saying at the very beginning, one of the problems that Twitch is having right now, apparently, is determining who's a lurker and who's a bot. And if you don't say anything and if you don't, contribute and you don't hit a button, then yeah, exactly, right? So if you are a lurker, And the reason that you lurk is because you're afraid to contribute, because what if the streamer says something mean? What if the content creator, puts you on blast? What if they, feature you in your next podcast and it makes you feel bad because you don't want to do that? What if they use you as a negative example? There is a legitimate fear there of what will happen if I say something, right? Or what if I say something? Interpret that as, what if I say something and it gets ignored? Then I'll just feel bad if I get ignored. Like, there's all kinds of fears. And so making lurkers, right? What I just have, like, where is it? Down somewhere in the chat. Asking lurkers to say something and also hit a button to announce their presence actually it has a bit of risk, right? It has a bit of risk. So to be able to kind of say thank you to the lurkers who don't say anything, thank you to the people who come in and are just kind of hanging out. Maybe it's because you don't have anything going on, or you have a lot going on, but you don't want to deal with it right now. You're just kind of here to kill time. Recognizing, and I think as a Christian content creator, the way that we're seeing this is basically go value your audience, right? Hey, Happy Trails, good to see you. Value your audience. Be thankful that they're there. I always think back to that one clip of that female content creator. This is a few years ago now, where she's berating her chat, her viewers for not giving her, not contributing. It's like, I'm here hours a day entertaining you and being here and doing stuff, and you guys can't even contribute $5. Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, I'm gonna, I'm blah 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 blah, and they get all, that is someone who sees their viewers as someone to exploit, someone to take. Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, unbanduced, exactly. So we actually do something in the class that we talk about the story of the Good Samaritan, and how there were, as people walked by, the guy who got attacked by robbers, right? The different people see him in a different way, and they kind of represent different ways content creators can see them. Some content creators see their audience as someone to exploit, right? They're the ones who are robbers. They're the ones who people will come in and be like, listen, if someone comes in, that's good. They're going to give me the attention that I want. They're going to give me the money that I need. They're going to give me the, stuff that I want to have. They're going to give me the affirmation that nobody else is giving me, right? They see someone as someone to exploit. Hello, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. It's the tribe. Hi, Lexi. I hope things are good. How are you? How was stream? What were you up to? Today we are talking about 10 ways to care for the avoidant and neat folks in your online community. Yeah, Pastor Dewson got banned from Twitch all at once during a stream because he was accused of view-botting, which of course he didn't do, of course. But it just came out of nowhere. I don't know, it just literally it mystifies us as to what the AI thought he was doing. I don't know what. Great co-working time. Oh, far out, man. Yeah, co-working in Apex. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Love it. Wait, he's back? I have an update on the ban. I'll be going live here on X, YouTube, and yes, Twitch to look at it together. Be live in a few minutes. 19 minutes ago. All right, hold on. Hold on. Is he on? Now, when you say a few minutes, Pastor Dewston, what do you mean exactly? Well, hey, that's pretty good. He's not banned. That's good. Thankful. In fact, we should probably just raid straight over there as soon as he comes on. We're going to keep that off to the side because that's who we're going to go over to once he pops on. Let's see. We'll wait. Good to see you. That's exciting. Thank you for saying that and keeping us updated. Who said that? That he's back. Nobody. Happy Trails. Thank you for saying that. That's awesome. Any minute now? Yeah. We'll give him a chance to get into stream, and then we'll jump into it. I can save this for tomorrow. I'm happy to do that. It'd be way cooler for us to go and hang out with Pastor Dewston, shut down my stream and go over there. really, really exciting. But yeah, the plan here. So we can talk about this tomorrow. We'll bring it up again tomorrow. And I know it's not Taco Tuesday tomorrow. It's but it's still Wellness Wednesday, and it's still a way that we can care for people. There's a bunch of ways that we can care for these avoidant or neat folks in our community. We all know it. Some of us are them, some of us struggle with this stuff. Some of us are, some of us don't. Some of you guys are extroverts like crazy. But content creators who are on this platform and really any platform are definitely going to be able to connect with a lot of these folks more than anyone else who are falling through the cracks, right? We catch the ones that are in the cracks. Got a phone call. Have a good one. Yep, we're going to definitely do that. So if you have, I'll go through it real quick because I don't know when he's going to jump on, but we can go through this real fast and then we'll go through it a bit more detail tomorrow. Saw his fish tank stream on YouTube this morning. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's really, really good. Number one, recognize them. Essentially, it's be okay with, value your audience. Make it so that you're just happy that they're there. I think that's a really important part of it. They're not. I was saying before when it came to the Good Samaritan, right? You have a group that sees them as someone to exploit. Your audience is someone to get things from, attention or money or full time or something to exploit. That's the robbers, right? Then you have the priests, and you see them as a problem to avoid. You don't see them as necessarily somebody trying to gather. Yes, you need them. They're there. You need people. I can't be a priest if I don't have people. But they're all screw ups, and I'm trying to work around them. They're all, the trolls and their problems and their issues and their people that I don't want to deal with, and they're what they should be doing is just giving me what I want, right? As a priest, they should just listen to what I say, shut up, and do what they're told. And they don't. The internet's such a problem. These people are such a problem, and you should be more like me. That kind of stuff, right? As a priest thinking, it's a problem to avoid. And then the third one is the Samaritan who sees them as a person to be loved. Someone who is damaged, someone who needs help, someone who's like them, someone who understands what it's like to be ostracized or because they're walking on the same road kind of thing. And you see your audience as a person to be loved, someone who's there, and you want them to be there, and you want them to feel cared for in the way that the Samaritan wanted that person to be cared for, right? That kind of thing. We are gathering for the Newston. Hello! Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. You are great. You are doing great. Have some pats on from the Squishy Army. Hi, Squishy Army. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. How is Amextia today? I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. That's really, really cool of you. Yeah, let's get a shout out. How are you doing? What's that shout out gonna do? I want to see what the I want to see what you were doing today. The shout out's always helpful for that kind of stuff. Hi. If you don't know who I am, if you're new here, if you've just come by, my name is XtianNinja. I have a channel here called, you're here. I don't need to tell you what it's called. But anyway, we gather the lost, the lonely, disenfranchised. We come together, we build community, and I show them love. I was a pastor for a long time. We take care of each other, and we build a loving community. Second thing is I'm the executive director of the Alliance for Creative Outreach. And in that, we train, we love, we network, we take care of Christian content creators. We actually have a class going on, and it's going to be starting on the 8th of this week. So if you're a Christian content creator and you want to go through a class, you want to get a free book, you want to get reviewed, and you want to do 8 weeks on how to understand yourself as a content creator, where God is in that, how to become better at it, how to become, be consistent at it. We have a class for that. We're starting it real soon. So get onto the Discord and come say hello to Ukulele for Worship or post something, tag her so that you can be involved in the class. Space is limited. So make sure you're there. It's also virtual. So in other words, you can do it at your own speed. So yeah, go for it, guys. It's a good class, if I do say so myself, because I wrote it and taught it. It's right. It's good. This one's in vids. I wanted it to be live, but I am completely I'm swamped. And so therefore, I'm glad I made the videos. Put it that way. I'm glad I made the videos so you guys can do the class on your own time. I would love to be. I will be doing some kind of welcome thing probably on Saturday where we come together and I say hello to the whole class and tell you guys to do your homework. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So yeah, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming by. I don't know how you found me, Amextia, but thank you for the raid and thank you for bringing your community. It's very cool of you. Raids are always super nice because they are a way for you to say, I trust you with my community and I want to support you. Very, very cool of you. Yes, I'm currently lurking. I'm currently sitting on his channel waiting for him to pop on so we can go raid him and celebrate. Works, yeah, chaotic schedule, and then that way you can do it anytime. All you have to do is keep up with the homework at some point during your 144 hours of your week, and you have to watch the video for an hour and a half, and then do you have a book to read if you want to do it? Yeah, I'm so happy. It's so crazy, man. It's such a bummer. Can't believe it. But at least he got turned around. I wonder I want to know how the appeals process went. That's what I want to know. I want to know how the appeals process went. Part of me wants to. I wonder if he'd let me dial in. You think he'd do that? Yeah, professional development. That's exactly what it is. I don't think he's still there. I mean, maybe he is, but at least his channel's back. He said he was going to be on. Hold on, let's just double check on his Twitter again. x.com/Pastor Dustin. He can't get live. Oh, is there did he get an update? Sorry, technical issues, working on it. Maybe just Twitch and YouTube. Give me some more minutes. Give me some more minutes. Poor guy. That's funny. Hey man, it happens. I'd imagine there's a lot of things down at the Twitch factory that they're having to move wires and like alter tubes and whatnot to be able to get it to go. I might sign up, not just here, be somewhere in a few days in October. Well, it's fine if you're there for a few days. You have an entire week. Just try to keep up with the class for those 8 weeks. And my opinion is that if you can't do an hour and a half class, right, watch a video and then do like a 15-minute review of someone's content, chances are you're going to really struggle with being consistent in your content creation. But that's just me, you know. Yeah. All right. So, well, I appreciate that. Yes, please do post stream things. I know that means pee. So do that. It's good for you. You don't want to die from whatever that thing that killed those people who wanted to get their wee without weeing was. Remember, did you hear about that? The person that died because the radio station told them to hold their pee until they died. Then they died. So don't do that. Just go to the bathroom. You need to go use it. Yeah. All right. So we'll go. Let's blast through this, and then we're gonna come back tomorrow. So the first one was appreciate your audience. Just be thankful that they're there. Don't call them out. Don't see them as someone to exploit. Don't see them as something that's there for you. You're there for them. If you see your audience as someone to serve, you will be 1,000 million times better off than if you see them as someone to fear, or someone to try to gather, or someone to exploit, or someone to that is going to be a problem to solve. All you got to do is get yourself to the place where you're like, I'm here to serve them. I will have a drink blocker and a stretch. That's a good idea. Thank you, sir. All right, next one. Second, don't create low threat environments. Don't force accountability or sudden vulnerability. How does one hold that in for so long? So you think they come out whether they like it or not. It was a Nintendo Wii was on the line. That's how. I'm gonna delete the cooldown. The cooldown is just causing people problems. I don't know why that's a thing. I mean, I get why it exists, but it just seemed to be a problem, right? Rewards got a cooldown. It's funny. All right. So second one is create low threat environments. Don't force accountability or sudden vulnerability. Normalize anonymity and slow trust building. Let people participate at their own speed with no pressure. One of the things you can do, especially if you're not a trained counselor, you've got some kind of thing going on where you get really excited to try to help somebody, is you can pressure them, right? You can pressure them into sharing too fast, talking too much. Like, hey, we have a Discord and we have somewhere to be, and you can go talk to them, and we have an entire group that you can share your prayer requests in, and you can get accountability, and you should join our group. Plus, I have a Sunday thing that we're going to come together. You should join my church also. And that person just came into your stream once and was just kind of there to find out what's going on, and you just took all of their fears and amplified them by 1 million, right? Because now what if they don't join? What if they don't go? What if they don't like it? What if they forget? All of a sudden, no, that person's not going to like me. Just put, that content creators, you're going to, I shouldn't talk to them. It's going to be a big, big, big issue for them, even though you think you're just being nice. So essentially, create low threat environments means chill out, right? Be thankful that they're there. If they're like, hey, I got some stuff, you can say, I have a Discord. You can come by and say hello, and we'd love to meet you. But trying to solve all their problems at the front without getting to know them first is definitely not the best idea. So give people places where, like, make your stream, make your content, make your comment section, make your whatever it is that you do, and wherever people connect to you, make it a place where it's safe to comment without expectation, without having a bunch of baggage come at you. Annika says, there's definitely a difference between telling your chat that they should do something, just giving a general awareness. Yeah, should do something, or like making them, not making them, but making the implication that everybody does this and everyone should do this, and you're dumb if you don't. That's gonna make people feel bad. So just chill. Number one, be nice. Serve them. Number two, chill. Be patient. Work in God's timing. You're not their savior. You're not God, right? Yeah, I am too. Oh, we just went live. All right, there's Conor McGregor. We are going to wait until the ad's done, and then we're gonna come and say hello. Well, he's probably got a opening screen like I do, so we'll wait till that's done too. Number 3, model healthy adulthood without shaming. Share stories of your own struggles and how you're working through them, not as a come on, just do it, but me too, and here's what helps sometimes. That's what I try to do. Sometimes it can be, we're all miserable, be miserable with me. I hope it doesn't come across like that. But the idea is recognizing. Oh, is he just chatting? Hold on. Unmute.
Blocker for 29 months. Unreal. Thank y'all.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. There's also stuff that's not here that should be, because I had turned it off because I thought Twitch was gone
right
forever.
now.
Okay. Oh my goodness. See, Godly kept that streak going. Unreal. Thank you. Okay. Hold on.
Pastor D.
Pause again. Okay. Does that work? Yeah,
okay.
That's on.
Everybody go say hi to him. If you got some bits, hit him with some bits. If you got some...
What is
if you got
happening?
some
I have
money,
no idea. I can't hear anything because nothing is on like it's supposed to be. Hold on. When I say hold on, y'all just don't listen.
Please don't rain in. Too bad, Pastor D. I'm coming in hot.
I'll bet all these things are just broken now. I probably have to like re-authenticate everything with whatever. Okay, whatever. I'll fix that for later. Thank y'all for the love and the support. Hi everybody. Hi. So let's just jump straight into it. Thank you so much already for several subs and hype train, and now a raid from XtianNinja and bits. Okay, wow. Wow, thank y'all.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.